7 years ago, a great catastrophe occurred. A terrible tragedy called the Dungeon Break descended, plunging humanity into hell. This young man is Sang-jun. Sang-jun's parents passed away because of this disaster. The day he lost everything, Sang-jun shed tears of blood and swore to himself that he would definitely become a hunter and chop those damn monsters into 100 pieces. And 7 years later, that day finally came. Sang-jun was kicked out of the hunter training center. He sat gloomily in the park, commemorating the great catastrophe and the awakening of people. It should only take a few months to complete the training at the gym and become a hunter, but he had lingered there for much longer than expected, a whole 7 years. This caused everyone around him to look down on him with utter contempt. They were afraid his worthlessness would drag down the center's reputation. Even though Sang-jun trained diligently every day, he still achieved nothing. This made him feel completely helpless, and he could only take his anger out on everything around him. Just then, he overheard a short, motivating conversation from a little girl nearby. The little girl's father had sacrificed himself to protect everyone when the monsters invaded. Therefore, the little girl believed that when facing difficulties, one must always be strong and never give up. They seemed like just naive words, but they became a huge motivation for Sang-jun. Under the pouring rain, he hurriedly ran to Manhwa's house. He went to ask for one more chance, but the result was that the man flew into a rage, punched him in the face, scoffed a few insults, and left. Sang-jun's appearance at that moment was utterly pathetic. He wished that he too had a unique trait or even just a little bit of talent. It seemed as if Sang-jun had given up. A single teardrop fell and successfully awakened the trial tower. It pulled him into a strange space. It was a place where even breathing seemed to become difficult. The trial tower required each player to choose their desired difficulty level, and the rewards would be equivalent. Naturally, Sang-jun, with his countless efforts, chose the highest difficulty. And so right after that, he was immediately sent to the first trial tower. All abnormal stats were reset to their initial values. The first place Sang-jun set foot in was a vast desert, and the trial tower provided him with a short sword. The reward for completing this trial was a unique trait, just as he had wished. This made Sang-jun go wild with excitement. He tried to run towards the sword, but the sand began to move. A sand golem several times Sang-jun's size appeared before him. All Sang-jun had was 10 minutes to fight something considered impossible. Just one lift of its foot or a single stomp sent him tumbling hard. What's more, the penalty for failure was returning to the earth. Sang-jun ran like the wind after hearing his penalty. He glanced back and thought to himself, "Can I really escape this sand golem by running like this?" The giant sand golem chased him relentlessly. It looked slow, but because of its size, it was actually very fast. Sang-jun's stamina drained quickly at first in the desert environment, but slowly his speed and stamina gradually improved. My endurance can't handle running for 9 minutes straight. Sang-jun still gripped his sword tightly and ran forward. This world. It gives me a sword and tells me to survive, but that's easier said than done. In this desperate situation, he only had two choices. One was to run until he died of exhaustion, the other was to fight and die. Sang-jun thought anxiously, damn it, how can I possibly beat that thing? He remembered the people who mocked him. Pathetic bastard. He's so stupid he doesn't even know his place. His hatred boiled up again. Damn it. You're nothing in this world. Sang-jun gritted his teeth in anger. Am I just going to try to run away and die a pathetic death? He let out a loud shout and turned back to face it head-on. Sang-jun's sweat poured down. He glanced at it and thought to himself, after 7 years of trying to become a hunter when it comes to theory, I can confidently say that I know more than most hunters. If I just keep running, it'll be useless. At the very least, I have to find another way to survive. Sang-jun identified its weak point. Sand golem-type monsters will stop moving if I can destroy their energy core, but their bodies are too tough to get to it, plus their cores are usually in hard-to-reach places. If that's the case, Sang-jun came up with a bold plan and sped up, running quickly towards the sand dune ahead. Both he and the sand golem will fall down the sand dune. I just need to make the core easier to reach. Sang-jun did a flip, stabbing his sword into the ground to break his fall. The sand golem's momentum sent it tumbling face first, rolling a few times before stopping. Sang-jun slid down slowly after the monster. He remained wary of its movements, judging the distance until the right moment. Then he jumped. Right now, Sang-jun landed right next to its core. I can reach it. Sang-jun smirked triumphantly. Having pinpointed the location, he immediately swung his sword down on its heart. Right here. Instantly, Sang-jun was kicked away, sword still in hand. He stared blankly, disappointed that he only managed to crack it, but even that was enough to hurt the sand golem. It jolted upright as he jumped back in alarm. It's tougher than I thought. Seeing his hopes fade, Sang-jun gritted his teeth, sweating anxiously. Damn it, Sang-jun prepared to charge in for another strike. If only I could land one more hit, but before he could even reach it, he was grabbed. It was the monster's turn to be triumphant. I knew it. It looked at him with a scornful gaze. It uttered scornful words. You're nothing at all. How pathetic, you bastard, so foolish, not knowing your own place. Hearing this, blood rushed to Sang-yun's head as he gripped his sword tightly. Sang-yun was so furious, veins were popping on his skin. He screamed, enough. Even though Sang Yoon's body was covered in wounds, he used all his strength to hurl his sword towards its core. "Shut your mouth, you bastard!" The sword finally pierced the sand golem's heart. It screamed in agony as a notification appeared. "You have destroyed the sand golem's energy core. Time remaining 7 minutes and 8 seconds. You have completed the trial." The sand golem crumbled to dust, and he lay sprawled on the ground under the scorching desert sun. Sang Yoon began to get up. "I did it." He clutched his side, coughing up blood. "Did I really defeat the sand golem, me?" He thought about the victory he just achieved. Forgetting the pain, he smirked. Even then, it was a damn hard fight to win. The system announced, "Congratulations, you have cleared the first floor of the Tower of Trials." He staggered to his feet. "I'm alive." Another notification appeared. "Reward for clearing the trial is unlocking a unique trait. A bonus reward for clearing the trial is receiving 500 points. Sang Yoon froze for a few seconds. He couldn't believe his eyes and walked closer. "No, I can't believe this." Sang Yoon looked at his scratched-up hands and thought, "For the past 7 years, I've tried so damn hard, and the only things I ever got in return were contempt and mockery." The notification stated, "You have unlocked a unique trait. You have been granted the unique trait, necromancy. I can become a hunter too." He felt a mix of joy and anxiety in his heart. "However, all of this can only happen if I survive." Before he could finish his thought, something special started glowing in front of Sang Yoon. His eyes widened in surprise. Sang Yoon wondered, "What is this?" He moved closer to observe, and out of curiosity, Sang Yoon reached out and touched it. A pile of black bones appeared where the sand golem had died. The system displayed a prompt for your unique trait. "Necromancy F has been activated. Do you wish to absorb the soul of the sand golem?" Reading this line, he paused to think. "Absorb soul. This black mist of bones is my unique trait. Do you wish to absorb the soul of the sand golem, yes or no?" Before Sang Yoon could finish thinking, the black smoke from the sand golem's soul flew towards him. Before Sang Yoon could even react, a notification appeared. "You have absorbed the soul of the sand golem. Your proficiency has increased by 7%. He was utterly bewildered, not understanding what just happened. Suddenly, a red flame emerged from Sang Yoon's chest, scaring the life out of him. Then it slowly sank back inside. The system showed number of souls 1 out of 5. The soul flame began to merge with him. "I can feel the soul. That means I can contain souls if I continue to absorb more?" Sang Yoon closed his eyes, sensing the new power. "If I try to do it like this?" A system guide explains that you can permanently increase your stats by absorbing the stats of collected souls. Strength increased by 3, stamina increased by 2. Sang Yoon was surprised he could feel it. It felt like energy was overflowing throughout his body. Sang Yoon went from one surprise to another. "My stats actually went up. All my training day and night was nothing compared to absorbing this soul. I couldn't raise my stats for 7 years, and now I finally can." A system message indicated a new skill. Necromancy proficiency at 7%. Basically, you can absorb the souls of the dead and use them as you wish. Sang Yoon joyfully thought to himself, "If I return with this skill, I can become a hunter." A black portal appeared in front of him. The system announced, "Please move to the waiting room." Sang Yoon hesitated for a long moment before stepping towards the portal. "I guess I have no other choice right now." As Sang Yoon stepped through to the other side, he immediately collapsed. Sang Yoon's wounds were so severe he didn't know if he could go on. "Damn it, my wounds are worse than I thought." Suddenly, a stream of green energy radiated from Sang Yoon's body, and his wounds quickly vanished. Sang Yoon stared in shock at his body. All his wounds had been healed. Not wanting to bother with anything else, he just wanted to rest and recover, so he walked to the bed in front of him. "So my body recovers after the trial is over, huh? I was bleeding so much, but I'll just forget about it for now. How could they put just one bed in a room this ridiculously large?" However, Sang Yoon couldn't get to sleep. All sorts of thoughts raced through his mind. What should I do now? Can I escape this tower? Why did this tower summon me to this place? Suddenly, a notification startled him. The system sent him a message. You can use the following 5 commands: information, storage, community, inventory, and trial. Saying the command will activate the function. Hearing this, Sang Yoon wondered to himself, 5 commands. He slapped his cheeks to snap out of it and motivated himself, okay. Let's focus on survival for now. The system also added trial time until the second floor trial opens is 23 hours and 21 minutes. You cannot select a trial yet. Please wait. He mumbled, I knew there would be more trials. Community. You have entered the community for the hard difficulty. Messages from other players flooded the screen. Can anyone explain what is happening? Hey everyone, my stats and skills have reset to before I awakened. What should I do now? You think you're the only one affected. My stats also reverted to how they were before I awakened. He read through the messages and let out an "oh." So this is the community. Sang Yoon pondered as he read everyone's messages. Everyone in the chat is confused, and it seems like people who aren't even hunters got dragged into this as well. Suddenly, an administrator entered. All of the messages were deleted, huh? Administrator 30 has joined. Chat has been disabled. Sang-yoon was startled. An administrator, they blocked all the messages, leaving only their announcement. We have important information to share with those who have passed the trial. Seeing the word important, he quickly tried to memorize it. Important information. I don't know how to get back. I need to remember all of this information. Focus now. An announcement came from the administrator. We will teach you how to use the points you receive during the trials. These points are used as currency in the Tower of Trials. The simplest way is to use them in the shop. Inside the Tower of Trials, you cannot drink even a single drop of water if you do not have points, and points can only be obtained through the trials. He was stunned when he read this. Points can only be earned in the trials. In other words, I need to do whatever it takes to get used to the Tower's rules. Not being able to drink water without points means that to get points, I'm forced to enter the trials. After they finished speaking, they reopened the chat channel. That is all we wish to announce. Administrator 30 has left. The chat has been unlocked. Sang-yoon covered his face and gritted his teeth. I thought I could become a hunter if I returned. He looked at his sword. Just as Sang-yoon was about to give up, he suddenly remembered there wasn't much he could do. With only a single longsword, Sang-yoon bought himself a wooden shield from the shop. He trained relentlessly, the administrator's announcement still ringing in his head. All hunters lose their stats when they enter the tower, but it seems easier for them to relearn the skills they previously used. Sang-yoon trained until he was drenched in sweat. That's why I can't forget we don't share the same starting line. If I don't train, there's no way I can catch up to them. He trained until he was exhausted, then collapsed onto the floor. That blue light appeared around him again, restoring his stamina completely. He stood up, rolling his shoulders a few times. Perfect. Thanks to the waiting room's recovery ability, I can train much more easily. I can easily train more for the next trial. As he was warming up, his stomach growled, killing the mood. Sang-yoon opened his inventory to see if there was anything to eat. What should I do about being this hungry? Sang-yoon's inventory didn't contain much besides basic materials, his shield, and his weapon. He chewed on a dry ration, lost in thought. I only have 40 points left to spend. If I don't get an extra reward, I couldn't have even dreamed of buying a shield. The system announced, time until the second weekly trial, 27 minutes and 17 seconds. Time is passing faster than I thought. Even the chat channel is quiet now, likely because the second trial is about to open. Sang-yoon was still looking at his inventory when a negative thought crossed his mind. Can I survive again? He resolutely pushed the thought away. No. I will survive. The system announced the countdown. The second trial floor will open in 20 seconds, 9 seconds, 8 seconds, 3, 2, 1. The second trial floor is now open, 0 seconds. The system presented him with a choice. Do you wish to enter the second floor of the trial tower? Sang-yoon leaned forward and quickly entered the trial. The system transported him. You have entered the second floor of the trial tower. Sang-yoon was astonished by the terrain. I guess it's a forest this time. The system issued a mission. The objective of this trial is assassination. Assassinate the orc chieftain within the time limit. An orc chieftain, Sang-yoon wondered. He had appeared on a cliffside. Below at the foot of the mountain was a tribe. Sang-yoon looked down surprised. An orc village. Countless green giants were patrolling the village. Fear began to well up inside Sang-yoon. They want me to sneak into the orcs' swampy settlement and defeat their chieftain. Amidst the forest, crude houses stood tall, built from bone and wood, reflecting the wild and resilient nature of the orc tribe. Two large tribesmen stood majestically holding spears and scanning the area with their sharp eyes. Sang-yoon was hiding among the trees. Avoiding the two guards' gazes, he watched them intently speculating. Usually in these trials, if a monster tribe has guards, you can guess that the tribe has hunters too. Successfully defeating an orc hunter is a difficult feat, but the real problem is the sheer number of them here. To defeat all of them, you'd need a party of at least E-rank hunters just to ensure survival. Sang-yoon really needed help. At level 1, I can't just charge in and fight them directly. What should I do? This is truly hopeless. He decided to temporarily retreat to carefully think through a plan. For now, I'll fall back, plan, and then return. But then an idea suddenly struck him. An interesting and useful idea just came to me. Sang-yoon let out a cold, excited laugh. I've figured it out. A way to complete this trial. He gathered some dry branches and lit a fire on a rough log. At the same time, he stared at the system screen, pleased. Great, this is enough wood to start a fire. Now Sang-yoon moved the burning piece of dry wood towards the system screen to store it. Instantly, the first stored item appeared on the screen. The word success. He smiled, his eyes full of satisfaction with the item that had been added to the success slot. The sparkling blue sky cast down vibrant sun rays where birds flew freely, a serene scene in stark contrast to the ever-dull goblins. They were actually a rather diligent species. The goblins had been hunting and gathering since early morning to bring back to the tribe. He stood in a corner behind a tree observing their every move. The hunters always leave in the morning and return at sunset, so there is still plenty of time until then. This is the only way to clear this round. This round is at the most grueling difficulty level with a large number of high-level monsters. The only way Sang Yun can defeat them is with fire. A goblin from the tribe came over to greet someone. A guard was chatting about something. He kept staring in that direction. According to the Hunters Association, the goblin guards do not always stay at their posts. They might return to the village to eat and rest. He saw this as the perfect opportunity to strike. He immediately took a piece of burning firewood from the system and decisively threw it into a nearby bush. Sang Yun quickly ran off, his eyes filled with determination. A huge fire immediately erupted with great force. The tribe members panicked, desperately splashing water to put out the flames as their village was engulfed in fire. Smoke billowed high into the sky, a blazing red in the middle of the forest. If I use fire to isolate the village, I will not have to worry about facing the returning goblin hunters. Before that, I have to kill the 2 goblin hunters over here. Some of the goblins are scrambling to get away. Carrying a water bucket to help a goblin in a white tunic hurriedly ran to a water source. As he was scooping up water, he noticed something unusual behind him. He turned back with a confused look. Sang Yun immediately struck him from behind with his sword. He had no time to defend against the blow. It pierced through his chest, and he coughed up a mouthful of fresh blood while letting out a pained scream. After he fell, an orb appeared on his body, radiating a black and red aura. A system notification rang out. The unique trait Soul Summon has been activated. Do you wish to absorb the goblin's soul? Sang Yun chose yes. Immediately, the aura entered his body and was easily absorbed. He smiled the smug smile of a victor. That is right. This is how it should be. The system continued to display, you have absorbed the goblin's soul. Proficiency has increased by 9%. As Sang Yun looked down at the last of the aura being absorbed, suddenly a massive goblin with blazing red eyes appeared behind him with a suspicious look. He turned to face it. Sang Yun immediately sensed the danger, his teeth clenched tight. A guard. It became enraged, immediately launching a powerful strike down at him. A bright light flashed as Sang Yun tried to block the attack with his shield. Its attack was too powerful, putting immense pressure on him. Sang Yun knew this was bad if he just kept defending. He immediately used an absorption skill. The system instantly understood, displaying the message, stored souls have been used. Your stats will be temporarily boosted. After gaining this power, he knocked away its massive blade. A blue aura from the system's power boost appeared around him, and Sang Yun's eyes blazed. He flew straight forward, attacking it head-on. Night had fallen, and the village fire still burned unquenched. Meanwhile, he had easily taken down his foe. The system immediately displayed rapid recovery skill has been regenerated. At the same time, he absorbed its soul. He let out a silent sigh of relief after a tough fight with a goblin. This thing was huge. Just one small mistake and I would have been in serious trouble. Your stats will be temporarily boosted. Sang Yun stared in surprise at the system panel. Stamina increased by 4. That guard even increased my stamina. Strength increased by 2, agility by 3. Excellent, at this rate. Then the risk of fighting those guards would be lower. It was time for Sang Yun to show himself. He coldly emerged from the sea of fire, slowly approaching the tribe where the goblins lived. The goblins were stunned by his appearance, but they didn't forget to make threats, chattering in their own language as if facing an enemy. He stared right at them. 3 workers, 1 guard, and an old chieftain. 5 of them in total. Sang Yun calculated that if he could just watch out for the guards, defeating the chieftain would be no problem. Chieftain Ott gave a signal, and his underlings charged forward to eliminate him. Sang Yun wasn't scared in the slightest. He could fight them alone. Thanks to absorbing the guard's power, these workers were no longer a threat. Immediately, with just a single basic sword slash, with lightning-fast speed, he easily defeated 2 of them. Suddenly, he realized something. A goblin with sharp, blazing red eyes brandished its sword and launched a surprise attack towards him. It had replaced the other one to fight, aiming a strike at his left side. Sang Yun raised his shield just in time to block the unexpected blow. He winced from the immense power it generated. At the same time, he also realized the guards have separated from the chieftain. It seems they're no longer protecting him. That means the only obstacles left are these guards. Sang Yun quickly jumped back to dodge its blow. He prepared a counter-attacking stance, his eyes sharp as he drew back his sword, gathering power. He then lunged forward, thrusting his sword straight through its stomach. The creature immediately spat out a mouthful of blood, screaming in pain. Chieftain Ott watched as his minion was easily defeated. In a panic, he then summoned a fireball. Sang Yun, having successfully defeated his foe, pulled out his sword. The fight had taken a lot of his strength, and he panted, trying to regulate his breathing. While he was still recovering, the chieftain had gathered a large fireball and immediately launched it at him. Sang Yun looked at the blinding light in front of him. His eyes wide with shock and panic, the chieftain thrust out his hand, directing the fireball to attack Sang Yun. Sang Yun managed to raise his shield in time, but the pressure from the fireball was immense. It made him grit his teeth and scream as he struggled to resist. Chieftain Ott smiled smugly, seeing that he could barely withstand the attack. But after the thick smoke cleared away, Sang Yun's figure was still standing there firm. He was completely unharmed. The chieftain looked on in horror, unable to believe it. The system chimed with a notification. Achievement unlocked Firebearer. Fire-resistant skill has been formed. He was still standing firm after the recent blaze, but his clothes were scorched in several places, and a long streak of blood was trickling down from his left eye. Sang-yoon smirked. It was his turn for revenge now. You bastards are dead. Sang-yoon now stood face to face with Chieftain Ott amidst the desolate ruins. The flames still blazed brightly around them, creating an incredibly fierce and captivating scene. Chieftain Ott showed no fear, instead raising his scepter to launch another attack at him. But just as he was about to cast his spell, Sang-yoon struck as fast as lightning with his sword. The blade slashed across his arm. The arm holding the scepter was severed from his body, and the scepter broke in two. Chieftain Ott cried out in agony. He had chopped off both of the chieftain's hands, and blood was streaming onto the ground. The creature could only look back at him helplessly with a bewildered expression. Then it turned and ran towards the hut. Sang-yoon gritted his teeth, staring intently in the direction the chieftain ran. He followed the bloody footprints step by step into the hut. He coldly swung his sword, smashing the door to pieces. He wanted to see what the chieftain was hiding inside. His eyes widened in shock at the sight before him. Chieftain Ott was hugging two small, trembling children. They huddled, trembling behind his arm. A tiny, shaking hand reached out and touched his pant leg. A little goblin clutched his pants tightly, a final desperate plea. It began. With its two eyes welling up, tears streamed down its cheeks as it sobbed, startling Sang-yoon, who thought to himself, so you guys value family too. He looked at the crying child, truly hesitating for a moment. Suddenly he remembered his own dark past, a desperate voice screaming, urging him on. Sang-yoon, run quickly. You will survive. That was a happy photograph of a family of 3, but it was quickly shattered, broken, and bloodied in a single nightmarish night. But it turned out they were just fake tears. That little goblin pulled a small knife from behind its back, its eyes turning fierce and bloodshot. Seeing him let his guard down, it immediately raised the knife and lunged forward. But Sang-yoon easily saw through its petty trick. He used the hilt of his sword to strike it straight on the head, saying, how foolish. It immediately fell, crying out in pain, with a bloody nose, a dent forming on its head from his sword hilt. He laughed coldly. Even if I were to become the Orc Demon Tribe's chieftain. Seeing its child injured it, and another little goblin immediately rushed forward to take revenge and attack him. Sang-yoon's gaze sharpened as he prepared to counterattack. I won't let them get away with this so easily. I would still wipe out all of you monsters. The system panel chimed with a notification. Congratulations, you have completed Part 2 of the Trial Tower after fighting the monsters. High-ranking members of the Orc tribe. His shield was also scratched and had degraded significantly. I can't use this shield anymore. Thanks to you, I'm still alive. Sang-yoon continuously tapped on the system screen, looking up information. That was a really close call this time. He looked at the numbers on the panel curiously. Half of the members are dead. That's intense. Suddenly his expression changed, his eyes widening as he discovered something unusual. A message that caught his attention appeared on the chat channel. Kim Seung-hoon, look at that guy, he wiped out half the members. Hyun Seok-jin, I used a question ticket to find a way to return to Earth. He stared at the message in astonishment. There's a way to return to Earth. Suddenly he remembered the bustling real world outside with everyone happily enjoying their lives. Sang-yoon processed the information, one of the 5 commands that could be used in the trial tower. Immediately, the screen displayed a prompt. Please write your question. The question has been sent. The administrator will send the answer. Upon reaching a new floor, you will receive 1 question ticket. He decided to take a chance. I can use my question ticket for that. By sharing the information learned from question tickets, the chat room has become a place for sharing discoveries. Skipping the minor details, the main point is this. Upon completing the 5th floor, a temporary return stone will be available for purchase, which you can use to go back to Earth for a few days. There was also information that after clearing the 7th floor, there would be a large-scale system expansion, and an item for permanent return to Earth would be for sale. Sang-yoon began to ponder. If I return to Earth with my current abilities and performance, I could become an A-rank hunter. The system chimed again with a notification, the necromancy trait. Basic effect, you can absorb soul power and use it at will. Additional effect 1, you can permanently increase stats. He clutched his head, his mind racing. If I had this ability on Earth, that would be a huge score. I want to go to Earth. He fell back into thought. I've only just completed the 2nd floor. It's a long way to the 8th floor. He comforted himself. Let's be positive. My stats used to be blank. Now they're at an average level and are increasing up to 20. The system panel displayed some of his personal information stats. Han Sang-yoon, strength 18, durability 15. Sang-yoon decisively threw his slightly scorched and tattered jacket to the ground. He began to absorb the souls. Streams of black and red energy gathered and glowed in front of his chest. I risked my life to get these 5 souls. I'll absorb them first. Immediately, his personal stats increased. Han Sang-yoon, strength 27, durability 25, agility 33. He himself could feel that immense power. I'm overflowing with power. Sang-yoon immediately dashed forward to test it out. He could clearly feel this was what he had heard of a world beyond human limits. Sang-yoon started to become more fascinated with this absorbed power. He laughed excitedly and continued to test his speed inside a cube he had created. He was so excited jumping around continuously that he almost crashed into the wall, unable to brake in time. Seeing that things weren't looking good, Sang-yoon immediately cried out, but it was too late. He slammed straight into the wall, creating an impact that sent dust flying everywhere. His silhouette was clearly imprinted on the wall. Then he lay flat on his back on the ground. Although his face was injured, Sang-yoon felt extremely excited and joyful, wiping the blood from his nose and laughing to himself because of the sudden increase. My body couldn't handle it. Then he called up the system shop. He started using money to buy items for combat. You have purchased the Great Tree Shield. Great Tree Shield D-, created by a dark mage from a large dead tree. When its durability decreases, a special effect will be activated. Sang-yoon continued to buy an inventory bag. Adding the equipment rewarded from last time would be perfect. Black Steel Dagger E+, made from black steel that has absorbed dark magic. Assassin's Robe D rank. Magical effect movement speed will increase for 1 minute. The cooldown is 24 hours. Finally, his shopping was done. He was now fully equipped with brand new gear. Sang-yoon let out a sigh of relief and began to familiarize himself with the new equipment to continue his journey of conquest. I'll get used to all the equipment and stats before the next trial. He jumped and dashed forward, testing a few sword swings. He gripped the sword in his hand full of determination and, I will become so strong that no one can even get near me. After finishing his training, Sang-yoon proceeded to the 3rd floor. The place he arrived at had stalactites as sharp as daggers. It was cold and dark. The teleportation circle had brought him here for the next mission. The system announcement rang out. You have entered the 3rd floor of the Tower of Trials. Tower of Trials, difficulty selected, hard. The theme of this trial is duel. He stared ahead at the source of a white light. He looked up, guessing to himself a cave. Suddenly, the system issued a warning. In 10 seconds, the Shadow Guardian will enter. Time didn't allow him to hesitate. It ticked down continuously. Time remaining 5 seconds. Sang-yoon got into a ready stance to attack. It could enter from any direction, just like that golem. Get ready. The system's countdown rang out. 3 seconds, 1 second. The Shadow Guardian is entering. He remained on high alert, ready to fight at any moment. But he didn't know that a doppelganger was hiding right in his shadow. Suddenly, he sensed something. Immediately, that shadow launched a surprise attack on him. The doppelganger smiled challengingly. Caught off guard, he was hit, which made him start to feel worried. At the same time, his mission appeared: defeat the Shadow Guardian doppelganger. Sang-yoon turned back his bright blue eyes, showing fury. He immediately launched a side kick towards the doppelganger, but it quickly dodged, jumping backwards. In the gloomy cold cave, a tense battle unfolded between Sang-yoon and the doppelganger. It stuck out its long tongue with a provocative expression. As for him, he seemed a bit tired, with sweat dripping down his cheeks. The system immediately announced, you have activated the rapid recovery skill. The wound the doppelganger inflicted on his side was quickly healed. He thought to himself, if I hadn't dodged in time just now, it would have sliced right through my spine. He stared at it curiously. Wait a minute. That stance is... He noticed the doppelganger's strange actions. Suddenly, it drew a sword and a shield. He realized the problem. That bastard. Is it copying me? As expected, that thing was mimicking his every action, gesture, and stance. He was already in too deep to back out now. He decided to risk it. The only way to find out is to fight. Then, he dashed forward to attack the doppelganger. He gracefully slid past it, but the doppelganger glanced back, astonished by his dizzying speed. Instantly, a spray of blood flew through the air. He had successfully slashed across its body. Blood from the doppelganger's body streamed down to the ground. Sang-yoon stared in shock at its body. Sure enough, the doppelganger was healing itself, the gash across its torso gradually mending. It glared at him with blazing red eyes, teeth clenched in resentment. Sang-yoon sneered. So it can use a healing skill. Then it was the doppelganger's turn to counterattack. It dashed toward him, catching him by surprise, and then perfectly mimicked what he had just done. Sang-yoon braced himself to counter, thinking, I knew it, this monster is copying me. He then delivered a straight kick to its side and leaped up, preparing to attack, thinking if that's the case. I can use the weaknesses in my own swordsmanship to defeat it. Sang-yoon continuously unleashed a flurry of attacks on the doppelganger, thinking as he fought, that's right, just like this. Suddenly, its sword pointed straight at him, making him jump in shock. A loud clash rang out as he managed to parry its fatal blow with his own sword just in time. They were both thrown back. He stared at it, stunned. What was that? Before Sang-yoon could even compose himself, a red flash zipped towards him. The doppelganger slashed frantically at him. Sang-yoon raised his shield to block, gritting his teeth to withstand the relentless assault while wondering in amazement. That wasn't a fluke. How did it improve so much in such a short time? He then shoved it back and began to activate a system feature. The doppelganger's eyes widened, noticing something strange as Sang-yoon's cloak began to transform. Streams of blue light appeared, and the system window popped up. In this situation, Sang-yeon knew he couldn't drag this on any longer or he would lose, so he decided to risk it all and finish it before it was too late. I can't drag this on any longer. I need to finish it in 1 minute time, remaining 59 seconds. But the doppelganger remained incredibly fierce, letting out a threatening growl. He then launched himself off the ground, attacking head-on. With his power-enhanced cloak, he charged toward it, but the doppelganger was just as formidable. A sword slash came flying at him. He dodged just in time, but couldn't completely avoid a shallow cut across his cheek, leaving a trail of blood. Then Sang-yeon spun gracefully, plunging the tip of his sword up into its neck from below. He thrust it straight through, a cold smile on his face. Success. The doppelganger immediately fell crying out in agony, but his smile didn't last long as it launched a surprise attack, severing the hand that held his sword. His arm flew into the air, completely severed from his body. Blood sprayed everywhere as the surprise attack left him utterly stunned and astonished. Sang-yeon cried out in agony from the loss of his arm, but he quickly calmed himself. I can't lose to it. It's not over yet. I need to focus more. He looked at the doppelganger's body, confused. Why isn't it moving, even with such an advanced healing ability? It still needs time to recover. Seeing the doppelganger motionless, he knew this was his best chance to finish it. This is my chance to kill it. But then he realized. But without a sword, how am I supposed to kill it? Suddenly, the system pinged again. 15% movement speed, 11 seconds remaining. He gritted his teeth, raised his shield arm, and decided to risk it all. All right, this is completely insane. But Sang-yeon wouldn't let himself give up. It's better to die trying than to die for nothing like this. With a determined shout, he charged toward the motionless creature. The doppelganger sensed the danger, confused by his actions. Sang-yeon charged like a madman toward it. It was also full of fight, sticking out its sharp tongue and raising its sword to attack. Sang-yeon continued to shout, his eyes unwavering. He flew forward with only his shield arm and rammed the shield straight into the doppelganger, unable to dodge in time. It was slammed into the cliff face before crashing to the ground. Its body was completely shattered, its form starting to corrupt. It let out an agonized growl as the light faded from its eyes, black blood trickling from its mouth up toward its forehead. His body trembled violently as Sung-yoon raised the blood-soaked shield, preparing to finish him off before he could regenerate. His eyes filled with resentment as he cursed die. He decisively slammed the shield into its body, and its head immediately flew off into the air. The system instantly displayed a notification. Congratulations, you have completed the 3rd floor of the trial tower. The system panel announced, you have entered the waiting room on the 4th floor. All status effects and injuries on Sung-yoon's body were immediately healed. Golden streams of light emanated from him, healing his wounds. The arm that was severed by the doppelganger was quickly restored to its original state. He moved his newly formed arm, testing it out. With a tense expression, Sung-yoon threw a powerful punch at the wall in front of him. Instantly, a loud explosion left a large crater in the wall. Cracks spread as debris flew everywhere. He was overjoyed, as excited as a child to see his arm's strength fully restored. It seems to be completely recovered. Suddenly, a system notification appeared, soul count 1 out of 5. He guessed it was the doppelganger's soul he obtained from the cave after completing the trial on the 3rd floor. I wonder why, though. Compared to the other monsters he had faced, its soul density was completely different. Sung-yoon could clearly feel its energy. The soul he absorbed was truly special. The system continued to announce the soul beckoning trait has reached 100% proficiency. Soul beckoning. A basic effect grants the ability to absorb the souls of deceased creatures and use them at will. He stared at the system panel in amazement. I can absorb their skills. As another notification panel appeared, he vaguely sensed something. It's just like how I obtained rapid regeneration after being on the brink of death. Sung-yoon remembered his fight with the OT tribe's monster. Getting skills isn't easy at all. Even so, he was very excited. I never thought I would possess such a strange trait. Of course, there are risks involved with the trait, and it all depends on my luck anyway. The system panel announced, you have entered the hard difficulty community. 4th floor community. 3 screens appeared before his eyes since this was his 3rd time here. The waiting room felt as familiar as home. Suddenly, Sung-yoon stared at the system panel in surprise as he began to read the chat messages about the next trial. After reading the messages from experienced players on the screen, he mumbled to himself. An integrated trial, Sung-yoon thought. It seems I'll have to act as part of a team now. The conversation about that trial continued on the screen. A competition between hunters simply means we have to try and kill each other. He stared in shock at the information he just received. A bit scared and truly bewildered, he thought, I have to kill people in this trial. The system announced the format for the 4th floor trial. You may be paired with another challenger. The 4th floor trial begins. Time remaining 1 day. Basic completion condition, defeat the Goblin King within the allotted time. After the announcement, the system immediately teleported him to the trial location. 2 people appeared in front of him, ready to form a team. Sung-yoon stood between them, feeling a bit awkward. This feels a little strange. I've only ever met monsters until now. Suddenly, a girl spoke up. Well, we're a team now. Let's start with introductions, shall we? She pulled back the hood of her cloak to introduce herself. My name is Lee Hayan. Hayan was very open, continuing. My specialty is supporting the team, and I'm a rank E hunter. After she finished her introduction, a voice suddenly rang out. A hunter, huh? Anyway, it seems the hunter on our team isn't too bad, the guy said. I'm Lee Sunggun, a rank D hunter specializing in close combat. Sung Yoon frowned, disliking the man's attitude towards Hayan. Why is he acting like that? If he's a D rank, he's probably nothing special. At last, it was his turn. He was very polite and courteous as he introduced himself. It's a pleasure to meet you. I'm Han Sang-yoon. I also specialize in close combat. Moreover, I'm not actually a hunter. I'm just hoping to become one. Hearing this, Sunggun was stunned. What, you want to become a hunter? He showed his contempt. Know your place and don't get in my way. Hearing this, Sang-yoon was furious, but he suppressed his anger, not letting it show for now. Because they were still a team, they couldn't have internal conflicts. Sang-yoon remained very calm, stating his position firmly. I believe I can do my part well. Sunggun was satisfied, that's more like it. At the same time, he didn't forget to warn him. I'm warning you now, if I see you becoming a burden to the team, you'd better get lost. His sarcastic words didn't discourage him because he was all too used to such mockery from others. Right, I'm used to this. I'd almost forgotten. Sunggun ordered Sang-yoon, hey newbie, just stay in the back and take care of the small fry. Even though he was being mocked by him, he couldn't deny the man's abilities, even though he didn't like this person. But he could see that his skills were as good as he claimed. He understood what he had to do here. Skills are the most important thing in the trial tower. The system window displayed the rules. The trial's theme is a 3 versus 3 competition. Cooperate with your teammates and complete the trial before the other teams. The castle gates opened immediately. Goblin monsters charged towards them. Gritting his teeth, Sunggun held his large sword, blocking their attacks. He hadn't expected there to be so many goblins. How can these goblins be acting in such an organized manner? He grew angry, seeing that no one was helping him as he was surrounded and attacked. He furiously shouted, "You damn newbie, what the hell are you doing? Hurry up and fight!" Hearing him curse, Sang-yoon was enraged, but still held back and went to help him. He easily took down a few goblins, not forgetting to mock Sunggun. You can't even pay attention to what's happening, unbelievable! Meanwhile, Hayan was still diligently providing support from the back. I'll finish the spell soon. Just a moment, but the impatient Sunggun snapped at her. Shut up and hurry up with the support. Immediately, a flustered Hayan replied, I've already used all of my support spells. Suddenly, Sang-yoon appeared right next to her. Hunter Lee Hayan, it seems he needs help. Wait for me a moment. Confused, she tried to stop him wait, but could only helplessly call his name Han Sang-yoon. He had already dashed towards where Sunggun was fighting the goblins. Hayan screamed in frustration, if you leave your position, who's going to watch my back? Suddenly, she turned around and looked in astonishment. Huh! Behind her, the goblins had all been wiped out, their bodies scattered on the ground. She stared at the scene in disbelief. No way. Meanwhile, 2 goblins were attacking Sunggun head-on. Having defended for so long, he was getting tired because there were too many of them. He cursed these damn bastards. Suddenly, another one holding a spinning iron ball in its hand prepared a surprise attack. It hurled the iron ball towards him. Sunggun, busy fighting, didn't realize he was about to be sneak attacked. Instantly, the ball struck his arm, knocking the sword from his grasp. Sang-yoon cried out in pain as his greatsword fell to the ground, and now the iron ball was preparing to smash straight into his face. At the same time, a goblin leaped into the air sword in hand and a ferocious look on its face, preparing to deliver a fatal blow down upon him. He saw the imminent danger. He raised his 2 bare hands to defend himself, cursing loudly. Sang-yoon's face, covered in wounds, was contorted with rage. If only my team didn't have a damn useless rookie. But before he could finish, Sung-jun appeared with lightning speed, slashing through the creatures and saving his life. Sang-yoon thought he was a dead man. Covering his face, he realized he was still alive, wondering what had just happened. He saw one goblin fall instantly, and its companion beside it was just as stunned. Then he realized the person in front of him was Sung-jun. He stammered newbie. Sung-jun just gave a cold command, Lee Sang-yoon fall back. Sang-yoon stared at his back, confused and bewildered. Sung-jun, out of patience, warned him, you're in my way. After that, he unleashed a flurry of fatal sword strikes on the goblins. They fell one after another, and the system immediately announced, you have obtained the achievement, Goblin Hunter. Watching him fight Sang-yoon was speechless, his jaw hanging open and sweat pouring down his face. After defeating the goblin monsters, Sung-jun walked past their bodies with a commanding presence. At the same time, he was absorbing their souls. Streams of black and red energy appeared and entered his body. Sung-jun pondered the traits he had just absorbed. This emitted black smoke will prevent the monsters from tracking my movements. Now fighting them will be much simpler. The system window chimed with a notification. The souls you have absorbed have all been consumed to increase your stats. You have absorbed a skill from the goblin race. He stared at the screen in amazement. Basic goblin skill F-rank, skill name Owl's Eye. It grants wider vision at night and a keen sense for detecting targets within your field of view. Curious, he felt the system's power immediately take effect. His eyes began to emit a dazzling blue light, so it enhances my night vision, huh? Sungjun started to test his newly upgraded vision. He could perceive things from an incredible distance. His field of view inside the dungeon had expanded, by a lot. And there's also the sense for detecting targets within my sight. Sungjun smiled smugly. This is just my lucky day. He was now with his two teammates. The three of them had finally regrouped after a long battle with the goblins. Sang-un was incredibly grateful for what he had done. His disdainful attitude was gone. Newbie, you were lucky you only ran into a few low-level goblins. But luck is a skill in itself. Congratulations on defeating them. He laughed joyfully, putting his two hands on his hips as if he were the victor. His boasting left Sungjun and Hee-yeon speechless. Then Sungjun pulled up the hood of his black cloak and announced, "Thanks, I'll take the lead from this point forward. If there's any danger, I'll let you two know." His sharp gaze made his stance clear. "Do either of you have any objections?" Sang-un's brow furrowed slightly in thought at his declaration. In the end, he had no choice but to agree. Fine, but if I'm not leading, what am I supposed to do? Sungjun immediately gave him his task. Your job is to stay in the rear, keep watch, and protect Miss Lee Hee-yeon. Then he turned to Hee-yeon and ordered, "You'll stay in the middle of the formation from now on. Keep a sharp eye on our two flanks and report anything to me." Hee-yeon was delighted by his trust in her and replied, "Yes, I understand." She was very excited for this expedition and called out, "All right then, let's move out." Immediately after they fought the goblins with perfect teamwork as the system chimed continuously, Goblin's soul-absorbed skill proficiency increased by 11%. Skill proficiency increased by 12% time. Remaining 14 minutes and 37 seconds, they continued on to a desolate and ruined place as Hee-yeon walked among them bewildered. "Something seems off, doesn't it? There were so many goblins before, but now I don't see a single one." Suddenly, Sungjun noticed a problem and paused. He immediately dashed forward. Hee-yeon was confused to see him suddenly leave what's wrong. She and Sang-un followed him, and when they arrived, Hee-yeon was astonished. My God, in front of them was a large fountain, and they found many goblin corpses here. Sang-un bent down to examine the murdered goblin corpses and panicked at the sight. "It looks like another group has already passed through here. How could they be so fast?" Sungjun reached out to check the blood stain on the body. "The blood is still fresh. They can't be far. We need to hurry. If that party defeats the boss here before we do, the penalty for failure will be carried out instantly." That penalty is just one word, death. He knew they had to speed up and told his two teammates, "Let's hurry up, you two." Meanwhile, another group that had arrived earlier was fighting some goblins. They all rushed forward to attack, but their blows were useless against Jin-hoo's sturdy shield. He was easily fighting them all on his own. Suddenly, a person was standing on a goblin, causing it to glance back in shock. Seon stood brazenly on its back, and all its comrades looked over startled. With a bored and impatient expression, Seon spoke up. "These monsters are a pain. Let's just hurry and find the boss." The moment he finished speaking, the goblins all attacked him at once. Seon lightly leaped into the air, causing them to strike each other. Then he decisively decapitated the one he had been standing on. Seon's eyes glowed red as he let out an arrogant, cold smirk, "You weaklings." Then he easily defeated all of them with just two swords in his hands. Jin-hoo watched Seon take them down so easily. Filled with admiration, Jin-hoo said, "Wow, Seon, you're amazing." Sang-yoon beside him smiled. "Thank you so much," but Seon was arrogant and belittled them. "You two are useless. Especially you, Jin-hoo. Why can't you do a single damn thing?" A flustered Jin-hoo just gave an awkward laugh. "Yes, it's all thanks to you." Seeing his scolding had no effect, Seon felt helpless. "Forget it, yelling at you two is a waste of breath. Open the door so we can fight the boss." Seon stood to the side, urging Jin-hoo hurry up and open the door. Jin-hoo replied yes, just a moment, but he looked around curiously, wondering if there were any monsters left. Then after he turned away in a dark corner out of Seon's sight. He wore a resentful expression, cursing inwardly, "You bastard." Immediately, the system announced, "Your party has met the conditions to unlock the boss room. The entire party may now enter the palace to face the Goblin Chieftain. The Goblin Chieftain will not appear if there are 2 or more parties in its area. Parties within this restricted zone also cannot escape until the Goblin Chieftain has been defeated." A red cube formed and enveloped the castle. At that moment, Seon smirked in surprise. What 2 parties suddenly Sang-un noticed something and shouted, "Hey, look over there!" In front of them, Sungyun, Sang-un, and Hee-yeon were approaching. Sungyun was in the lead. Staring intently at them, Seon was not pleased by the arrival of these 3. "So there were other bastards here too, huh?" Sungyun didn't care how that guy judged them. He just wanted to complete the mission quickly and spoke. "They look quite strong, especially their leader. I'll go first." Then he ordered Hee-yeon stay behind me. "Cast agility and recovery spells on me, Mr. Lee Sang-un. You protect her carefully and don't let them get near." Hee-yeon replied, "I understand." Then Sungyun didn't forget to add, "They took down those goblins so quickly, so we can't underestimate them." He instructed his 2 teammates, "I'm going in first. You 2 be ready to support me and watch your energy level so you don't run out when it counts." Hee-yeon immediately cast the spell Footsteps of the Wind while nodding, "I understand." The system chimed with another notification. Agility plus 2 recovery plus 5 support effect lasts for 10 minutes. She had boosted his power as he prepared to attack Seon. Sang Yoon thought to himself, I've finally mastered this power. I've gained a lot of experience to get this far, but this is still going to be a tough fight. Seon Jin-ho and Sang Yoon all looked ahead cautiously. All three took their stances ready to counterattack. He's coming, get ready. Sang Yoon rushed forward with incredible speed, his blue eyes flashing with a cold light. If this is who I am now, I can do this. He seemed to glide across the ground, kicking up a cloud of dust. Terrified by his presence, Seon's eyes widened in fear as he quickly backed away. He made Jin-ho take the front to block the attack. Lee Jin-ho, use your shield at maximum power. Startled Jin-ho immediately complied. Yes! He channeled power into his shield, his eyes flashing with determination. A brilliant golden light erupted, forming a barrier large enough to surround all three of them. It looked like an incredibly sturdy barrier. Sang Yoon kept charging forward, then leaped high into the air and swung his sword down. The sharp sound of the blade scraped against the barrier from Jin-ho's shield. The sound was deafening. A second later, the barrier completely shattered. Jin-ho was thrown backwards as fragments flew everywhere. Sang Yoon pressed on with his attack, not stopping for a moment. He was like a bolt of lightning, unleashing a flurry of lightning-fast slashes that swiftly finished off two of the other three people. Hein and Sang-gun witnessed the scene. They were both dumbfounded that Seon had managed to defend himself and survive. Seeing this, Sang Yoon glared at him and prepared to charge. His eyes were bloodshot and filled with hatred. Sang Yoon attacked relentlessly, forcing Seon to constantly retreat. The clash of their two swords created a deafening sound. Seon struggled to parry each of Sang Yoon's blows, thinking to himself that something was very strange. He gritted his teeth. My skills are definitely more refined, but he's using strange stances to block my attacks. Meanwhile, Sang Yoon decided to use more power. He dashed directly behind Seon before he could even react. Sang Yoon swung his sword down. It's over. A loud clang rang out. Somehow Seon had blocked the strike. Sang Yoon was completely astonished, his face a mask of disbelief. His body froze for a moment. Seon gritted his teeth and glared at him with bloodshot eyes. Sang Yoon immediately realized something. It's his eyes. He can see the path of my sword. Seon immediately jumped back to create some distance. A second later, a shield flew towards him, catching him off guard. The shield was deliberately thrown by Sang-gun. My vision. Seizing the opportunity, Sang Yoon shot forward like an arrow. He slashed straight into Seon. Blood spurted out immediately as he coughed, still managing to spit out a few curses. You goddamn bastard! Sang Yoon's system immediately displayed a message. Congratulations, you have completed a special mission. A supplementary reward will be given for the fourth floor trial. Hein and Sang-gun walked over to him. The area suddenly became strangely quiet. Sang Yoon's sword hand was trembling uncontrollably, and Hein noticed it in her thoughts. She wondered, is he shaking? She hesitated before asking Sang Yoon, excuse me, are you okay? He just replied in a low voice, I'm fine. Hein watched him, her surprise evident. He must be in shock after killing someone. I thought he was so tough and cold. A moment later, Sang Yoon turned to her and Sang-gun and said, I'm going to fight the boss right now. Is that okay with everyone? The man replied with a serious face. I'm fine with it. Hein felt the same way. Me too. Then the three of them charged into the horde of goblins. Without hesitation, Sang Yoon leaped forward, slashing hard at the Goblin King's throat before jumping onto its body. He stabbed it hard in the back and pulled his sword out, making it let out a pathetic scream. A system notification rang out. You have completed the objective of the Goblin King trial. The man froze on the spot, his face filled with stunned horror. He's a monster. The system continuously sent a notification. Congratulations, you have completed the fourth floor of the trial tower. You will be transferred to the lobby. Hearing that, Sun-gyun quickly used it as an excuse to leave. I'll go first. The man just walked into the portal and quickly disappeared completely. It seems Sun-gyun won't be going with the other two. He said to Ha-yeon, I hope you return safely. She hummed softly but didn't leave right away and just stood there. This made Sun-gyun a bit confused. Ha-yeon, after a moment of hesitation, finally spoke up. Perhaps I'm overstepping my boundaries, but you only did what had to be done. Are you referring to what happened earlier when Sun-gyun eliminated that team of three? Ha-yeon's next words truly surprised Sun-gyun. That was something someone had to do. If you hadn't done it, Sun-gyun, then I would have had to. He then smiled softly and replied, I'm glad you think so. Ha-yeon suddenly opened her system. A moment later, a notification appeared on his challenger. Lee Ha-yeon has sent a friend request. Ha-yeon turned around. The corners of her mouth curved up slightly. Thanks to you, we completed the fourth floor trial, but it's a bit annoying that I didn't get any rewards. Before leaving, she left him a message. After returning to Earth, look for Lee Ha-yeon of the White Silver Guild. Sun-gyun pressed his lips together, watching her, his face not revealing much emotion. Ha-yeon stepped into the portal and disappeared. Now alone, Sun-gyun muttered to himself. Now I'm alone again. I have to decide. Over the bodies of those three people, there was a blazing red orb as if on fire. Sun-gyun pressed his lips together, thinking to himself whether he should absorb a human soul, something he'd considered since first discovering this ability. I've always hesitated because I know that once I do this, it means crossing a line of no return. He He reached out his hand. I've made my decision. Sun-gyun went ahead and absorbed the souls of those he had just killed, telling himself I have to get stronger, but not by killing people. However, if the situation forces my hand, I will do it. Sun-gyun was extremely determined. The dream of becoming a hunter has awakened the deepest desires within me. The trial tower has given me a chance, and I will hold on to that chance tightly. I want to keep climbing this trial tower. He then used the portal to proceed to another floor in the trial tower. The system sent him a new notification. You have arrived at the 5th floor lobby. It also brought some new interesting information. The system has been expanded. The trial synthesis is a system that will rank all established challengers. Hearing this, Sun-gyun was quite intrigued. A ranking of challengers, huh? An empty box appeared on the system panel. Enter a nickname. Sun-gyun stroked his chin, thinking seriously. He typed on the system panel, saying to himself, this should work. The system updated immediately. Your nickname has been changed from Han Sun-gyun to Hunter. Sun-gyun looked at the 4th floor trial ranking and exclaimed in surprise, wow, this is fast. I'm rank 2. Suddenly, his eyes widened. On the system panel was his information, rank 16, Hunter A-. His face showed clear astonishment. My rank is much higher than I expected. The notification sound chimed again. Challengers in the top 50 will be called pioneers. Those called pioneers will receive a benefit on the 8th floor. If you maintain your position as a pioneer until the 8th floor, you will receive a special privilege called an aura. Sun-gyun stared at the system panel. An aura, what kind of skill is that? He waved his hand to close his system. I'll find out what's going on when I get there. Then Sun-gyun immediately absorbed the souls he had collected. Please select the soul you wish to absorb. Souls possessed 4 out of 15. Player Lee Seon, player Lee Jin-woo, player Im Sang-gyun, the Goblin King. The power in his body surged. The corners of his mouth curled into a smile. Now I really feel like I've surpassed human limits. At that same moment, Sang-gyun used some gold coins to buy an item. You have purchased 1 F+ return stone. The system sent its information to Sang-gyun. F+ return stone. You can return to your original location for up to 3 days. He held the return stone and glanced around to see if he could bring his gear with him. The system notified him. You have used the return stone. You will now return to Earth. Sang-gyun gripped it tightly and smiled confidently. I'm going back to Earth. The system has received Sang-gyun's request. The wish of challenger Han Sang-gyun has been granted. You have absorbed the return stone and are now returning. He felt as if he were being sucked into a large spatial rift, his face showing clear panic. A moment later, everything returned to normal as a system notification sounded. Challenger Han Sang-gyun has returned to his residence. In 3 days, you will return to the Tower of Trials. The surrounding scene was now Sang-gyun's bedroom on Earth. Lying on the bed, he slowly opened his eyes, his face a little dazed. Sang-gyun stared up at the ceiling. Then he pushed himself up slowly, his eyes scanning the room. Looking at the papers taped to the wall, he thought, I'm really back. This was a moment he would never forget. I'm back! He flopped onto the bed with a thud. First things first, sleep. Compared to the bed in the waiting room, this is true paradise. However, his unwashed body gave off a horrendous smell. Sang-gyun was forced to bolt upright. That stench. I need to shower first. Suddenly, he felt like he had stepped on something. Under his foot was his shield and sword from the other world. Sang-gyun picked up his 2 weapons, his face lighting up with excitement. I just tried it for fun, but I can't believe you can bring items from the Tower of Trials back to Earth. This means the other challengers can do it too. He muttered to himself. I have to move quickly. The more people that return to Earth, the more items will become available, and the pockets of item hunters will get deeper. Sang-gyun stared intently at the sword and shield in his hands. I have to sell these as soon as possible, but the only problem is, only those with a hunter certificate can sell items. He suddenly noticed the papers taped to the wall. Normally, I'd have to register for the hunter certification exam and take the test during my next return to Earth. Sang-gyun picked up his phone. Looking at the screen, he sighed to himself. This is going to be a busy one. Meanwhile, at the Hunter Training Center, the hunters were training diligently. Manhwa stood on an upper floor looking down at them as if supervising. His phone sitting on the table suddenly buzzed. Manhwa picked up the phone and answered. Hello, this is Hwang Manhwa, director of the Baek Ryan Hunter Training Center speaking. The caller was Sang-gyun. It's Han Sang-gyun. You still remember me, right? Director, you remember me, don't you? Director Hwang? He tilted his head slightly as if trying to recall, then answered. Of course I remember you. If you want a refund on your membership fee, just do it online. You don't need to call me directly. Sang-gyun quickly responded from the other end of the line. No refund is necessary. Manhwa was a bit surprised to hear that and asked again to confirm, are you serious? Just think it over carefully before you decide. Sang-gyun answered bluntly, I've already thought it through. He immediately stated his condition to the man. However, I need your help with one thing. Manhwa let out a sigh and told him directly, if you want to increase your usage time at the center, I can't approve that request. But Sang-gyun didn't request that at all. Help me pass the hunter test. Hearing this, Manhwa fell silent. He recalled Sang-yoon's evaluation results sheet and said to him, "Have you forgotten your general test results and what your abilities are like? You're at F rank, the lowest possible rank on the scoring chart." He replied rather nonchalantly, "I know," Manhwa continued. "You also don't have any special traits or skills. So even if you ask..." Sang-yoon, seeming to lose patience, bluntly cut him off. "So does that mean, even if I pay the membership fee, you still can't help?" Manhwa hesitated for a moment before replying, "If you're paying, then I have no reason to refuse." Sang-yoon seemed to have already expected this answer. He smirked and said to the man, "All right then. Then help me pass today's hunter test. After that." Sang-yoon went to shower and wash off that horrible smell. He opened the bathroom door and hot steam billowed out. As he walked past a large mirror, he suddenly stopped. Sang-yoon stared at his muscular physique in the mirror, his expression a little stunned. He then looked down at his own body and muttered to himself, "My body has changed quite a bit. It's because of everything I've been through." He quickly put on a white shirt, but now is not the time for admiring myself. The hunter test is already scheduled. I need to get going. As soon as he stepped outside, Sang-yoon saw the woman from the apartment next door. His gaze rested on her for a long moment. A normal life, something I'd forgotten long ago. Just seeing a neighbor is enough to make me feel at peace. Sang-yoon had to walk past her, so he bowed his head and politely said hello. The neighbor turned to look at him, thinking to herself, "Looks like my neighbor is an older man trying to become a hunter." She politely replied out loud, "Hello." He continued straight ahead. With a slightly formal smile, he said, "See you later." The neighbor's face flushed a little. Has he always been this tall? A moment later, Sang-yoon was down in the building's lobby and out on the sidewalk hailing a cab. However, not a single car stopped. It's hard to catch a taxi today. He glanced around, seemingly deep in thought. The next second, Sang-yoon launched himself forward. He took off at an incredible speed. Sang-yoon felt a thrill of excitement. Running there isn't a bad idea, huh? He suddenly leaped high into the air, arriving in the blink of an eye. A moment later, Sang-yoon was standing before the Hunter Association building. He calmly walked inside where Manhwa was already waiting for him. The two men stood opposite each other, their gazes locked. Sang-yoon smiled and spoke first. "Long-time no-see Director Manhwa." He smiled back in reply, "What took you so long?" Sang-yoon's expression suddenly grew grim, and the surrounding temperature seemed to drop. "I've had to deal with some personal matters recently, so to me it feels like several years have passed." Manhwa was a bit surprised to hear that. "Personal matters?" he asked. Sang-yoon gave a vague reply, something like that. The man in a black suit standing beside Manhwa stepped forward and spoke to him. "Hello, I am Inspector Kim In-hoo, and I'll be in charge of grading the hunter test." He looked at him and announced as if he was already aware of this hunter's test. "You are exempt from the written test and the interview under the supervision of Chief Hwang. Do you have any questions about the test procedure?" Sang-joon immediately replied, "No, I understand everything." After hearing that, In-hoo gestured inside. "Very well. Then let's begin the test. Please follow me," after which Sang-joon entered the testing room holding a long sword. Manhwa, standing outside, said to In-hoo, "Inspector Kim, just as I said, make the test as difficult as possible." He replied nonchalantly, "You don't need to worry. I have prepared the toughest opponents." For a swordsman, In-hoo, observing from the outside, said to Sang-joon, "If you are ready, please select the difficulty for the test." He pressed his lips together, looking straight ahead. "You can choose the difficulty on a scale from level 1 to 10. He recalled his previous test. In the last test, he had chosen difficulty level 1. At that time, he had failed miserably and lost to a goblin. His hands trembled uncontrollably, his face revealing fear and cowardice because he was just a weakling this time. He was a completely different version of his former self. "I choose..." Manhwa, standing outside, smirked and muttered, "Of course he'll choose level 1. But Sang-joon, contrary to his expectations, stated firmly, "I choose level 10, hearing that. He couldn't help but be startled and exclaimed what Sang-joon glanced back at him, his expression full of confidence and pride. Manhwa broke into a cold sweat, but he still looked down on Sang-joon as before. "This crazy bastard!" The system's familiar notification sound then rang out. "The test will now begin. Defeat the Phoenix." Sang-joon's entire body froze for a moment. His movements were incredibly sluggish. The system immediately alerted him. "Your movement speed has been reduced by 25% due to the predatory roar effect." The sword in his hand also had a rather large crack. Manhwa, standing outside, laughed to himself. "There's no way he can pass this test, but just in case, I'll just break his weapon." A wicked glint flashed in his eyes. This is reality for those who don't know their place and like to show off inside the test room. The Fire Phoenix flew high above, radiating immense power. It let out an ear-splitting screech. The heat it radiated made the room increasingly hot, yet Sang-joon showed no signs of fear or worry. His two eyes flashed with a blue light. 5 years ago, Manhwa's name had appeared on the list of successful candidates. Passing the hunter certification, he was still very young back then. All those who received their certification cheered loudly with joy, and he was no exception. I passed. At that moment, I thought I was the best. After that, he started to fall behind, however. As time went on, the gap between him and his peers grew larger and larger. In the end, I gave up because I couldn't catch up. How long had he been stuck in place? In the world of hunters, talent is everything. I had to accept the truth and stop trying. Manhwa had found an excuse for himself. People often crumble before an unbreakable wall. He stood before the wall that blocked his path. Clenching his two hands, he thought to himself, it's not just me, everyone ends up like this. Back in the present, watching Sang-jun prepare to fight the Fire Phoenix, Manhwa seemed to be imposing his own twisted mindset onto him, and so Han Sang-jun in the testing room. Sang-jun's sword broke in two, just as he had wished you should give up too. Sang-jun looked at the broken blade, unable to hide his surprise. He backed away, keeping a certain distance from the Phoenix while thinking no matter how low-grade this weapon is, it shouldn't have broken so easily. He immediately glanced outside. No way Manhwa was standing above, looking extremely smug. He bared his teeth in a sinister grin. What are you going to do with that broken sword now? At that moment, the Fire Phoenix tilted its head back, preparing to launch an attack at Sang-jun. The very next second, it spat out a scorching fireball aimed straight at him. A glint of determination flashed in Sang-jun's eyes. This is going better than I thought. This is a great opportunity to test the skill I learned from the fourth-floor trial. His gravity spiked. Sang-jun took one step forward, making the ground sink, and with an instant burst of speed, he leaped high into the air, dodging the Phoenix's fireball and suddenly clinging tightly to the ceiling. The action even startled the Phoenix, leaving it confused. He bared his teeth in a gleeful smile. The speed has increased quite a lot compared to when I was using the assassin's cloak, hasn't it? The Fire Phoenix prepared to strike again, but Sang-jun launched himself off the ceiling, hurtling straight towards it. His speed was so great the Phoenix couldn't react in time. He used the broken blade to stab straight into one of its eyes. The Fire Phoenix immediately lost its bearings, flying erratically through the air as blood spurted out. Sang-jun landed on the ground below. He looked up at the Phoenix and muttered, "Just as I thought, that sword is too short to finish it." He then picked up a brick from the floor and Sang-jun got to his feet. He took a running start and powerfully threw the brick at the Fire Phoenix. It somehow split the creature's head in two. Before dying, it let out a pathetic shriek. The brick didn't stop there, but slammed straight into the wall behind where Manhwa and In-hoo were standing. Terrified and in disbelief, Manhwa yelled, "What the hell was that?" The Fire Phoenix grew cold and fell straight to the ground. The system immediately announced, "Congratulations, you have passed the test." Standing below Sang-jun smiled, waved, and said to Manhwa, "Hey, is he all right? I didn't expect it to fly all the way up there." His gaze towards the man was full of triumph and provocation. After the test concluded, a cheerful staff member handed him a card. "Congratulations on becoming a hunter." Sang-jun took it and thanked her. The staff member added, "You have been registered with the Hunters Association. From now on, you are an official hunter." Sang-jun looked quite excited. "I can enter dungeons and sell items now, right?" She smiled and nodded, confirming, "That's right." Meanwhile, in Manhwa's office, the sound of a desk being slammed echoed as he lost his composure and demanded of In-hoo, "Inspector, explain what just happened." His voice was laced with indignation. "I told you to fail him within 10 seconds, not let him pass." In-hoo, sitting across from him, irritably loosened his tie. "Hilarious," he said flatly. "We did our best to accommodate your request. With Sang-jun's abilities, the difficulty was adjusted to make it impossible for him to pass." Manhwa, unwilling to accept this, tried to find a way to put Sang-jun down. "So what if we lower it even more?" In-hoo immediately replied, "That's impossible. Defeating the monster for the minimum D-rank test in just 10 seconds. If we only give him a D-rank, I would definitely be questioned by the association." Manhwa still refused to give up. "You have to try." Just then, Sang-jun opened the door and walked in, interrupting the conversation between the two of them. "I got my certification." In-hoo reacted quickly, giving a slight cough to signal Manhwa to be quiet, then turned to Sang-jun and said, "Congratulations, Han Sang-jun." He continued to walk straight forward, his steps firm and steady. He stopped in front of Manhwa and asked with feigned concern, "You don't look very well. Is something the matter?" The man forced a strained smile and replied, "Congratulations, or rather I should call you Hunter Han Sang-jun." Sang-jun wasn't going to let him off that easily and deliberately brought up the past. That reminds me." His following words made the atmosphere in the room grow tense. Chief Huang Manho's rank before retirement was C rank, wasn't it? He was silent for a moment before asking in a low voice, "What are you trying to say?" Sang-jun feigned innocence. I just remembered that you once called me talentless." He bluntly criticized Manhwa without holding anything back. The man's face twisted in anger. "Honestly, I think you're the one who's talentless." Unable to contain his rage, he lunged forward. "You little brat," In-hoo, not expecting things to escalate so quickly, hastily reached out to stop him. "Calm down." As Manho's fist flew towards his face, Sang-jun showed no fear, the corners of his mouth curling into a smirk. "Just as I thought, he's so easy to provoke." Right after that, he smoothly sidestepped, dodging the punch. Sang-jun immediately dropped his stance and landed a hard, painful blow to Manho's stomach. His voice was now as cold as ice. This is just self-defense. Not stopping there, he also casually slapped Manhwa across the face, the smile on his face looking completely harmless. This is real revenge. Seeing Manhwa's face swell up after being so easily beaten, Sang-yoon thought to himself, so this is the power of a C-ranker. Soon night fell, and before returning, In-hoo had arranged a private meeting with Sang-yoon. After a bit of conversation, he asked him doubtfully, "You want me to become an exclusive hunter for the association?" In-hoo nodded and replied, "That's right." Then he smiled and made an incredibly attractive offer. "The base salary is 1,000,000 won, and we can negotiate if you want more. You won't get a bad deal." Sang-yoon looked at the business card In-hoo handed him. He mumbled 1,000,000 won is a lot. In-hoo, thinking he had easily agreed, started to flatter Sang-yoon because we see great potential in you, but he cut him off, Inspector. He bluntly exposed the situation. "You manipulated the test difficulty today, didn't you?" He glanced at him, then coldly turned and walked away. Casually tossing the card to the ground, "I don't have a problem with negotiating, but I won't sign a contract with untrustworthy people." Time flew by, and in the blink of an eye, it was 2 days later. In his room, Sang-yoon was watching the news on his laptop. Recently, rumors had started about hunters being summoned to the Tower of Trials. He then closed the laptop and said to himself, "Now everyone knows about the Tower of Trials." Looking at his phone screen, he smiled faintly. "I sold some items for a good price and made good use of the past 3 days. His tone suddenly grew cold. "It's time." Right on cue, a familiar system notification appeared. "You will soon return to the Tower of Trials." The blue light of the system panel cast a glow on Sang-yoon's face. The system's warning sounded again, "Time is up. You are being transported back to the Tower of Trials." Sang-yoon fell into a spatial rift once again. "I can finally feel the joy of getting stronger." He broke into a delighted smile. Things are about to get busy. A moment later, drab gray walls appeared before Sang-yoon. He sat up, looking slightly startled as he saw an empty room with just a single bed. He finally felt relieved, "So I'm back in the Tower of Trials." Looking at the chest beside the bed, he couldn't help but feel excited. "My items are here. This means I can freely move items between Earth and the tower." He then placed everything into his system inventory, storing the items in my personal inventory to tidy up all done. He rolled over on the bed once, then leaped off. He cracked his joints, ready to conquer this Tower of Trials. The 4th floor is done. Time to prepare for the 5th floor. The system appeared with a notification for him. "You have earned the achievement First Return. You have acquired the skill Eye of Truth." Immediately after, his eyes flashed with a purple light. The system quickly updated the information for Sang-yoon Eye of Truth rank of proficiency 0. It allows you to see the true nature of observed targets, and can also distinguish truth from lies in another's words. Sang-yoon was incredibly excited about this new ability. "I can see item information just by looking, and I can also distinguish truth from lies." The corner of his mouth curled up, his eyes shining brightly. What an amazing skill. "I got a high-grade skill right after coming back." Sang-yoon opened the shop interface on the system panel using the money he had saved on Earth to buy some new weapons. "You have purchased a Thunder Sword. Purchased an Iron Shield D+. After receiving the weapons, Sang-yoon tested them out and made his own assessment. This sword seems expensive, but since it's one-handed, the attack speed is faster and it comes with an added effect. The system also notified him that when attacking a target, there's a 10% chance to cause an additional lightning effect. Hearing this, Sang-yoon felt pretty lucky. Any item with a bonus effect is a great find. After getting his new weapons, Sang-yoon was ready for the next mission. "Let's do this." On the system panel, a question appeared. "Will you accept the challenge of the 5th floor?" A portal then opened, and Sang-yoon immediately stepped inside. "All right, let's go." The system immediately updates that you have entered the 5th floor. The mission for this 5th floor is to hunt a designated target with a 1-day time limit, the condition to pass the 5th floor's trial. Eliminate the werewolf leader in the Valley of Wolves. A few seconds later, Sang-yoon was in a barren land with a tall cliff right in front of him. Sang-yoon felt very excited. Conquering werewolves, huh? The very next second, a pack of vicious wolves appeared. They surrounded him, their blazing red eyes staring as if at a plump prey. Unable to wait any longer, they leaped and lunged, wanting to tear Sang-yoon to shreds. He didn't flinch at all, swinging his sword and sending a whole group flying. A persistent one that clung to him was immediately kicked straight back. Just like that, the entire pack of wolves was annihilated by him. "These little wolves are a bit weak." The wolf he had just kicked stopped under a large paw. Seeing it, Sang-yoon was a bit surprised. Several giant silver wolves appeared at the same time. That small wolf was like an ant under their paws, trembling as it crawled to one side. A silver wolf opened its massive jaws and let out a sky-shaking roar. Its eyes were bloodshot red, and the aura it radiated was immensely powerful. They growled as they slowly closed in on him. Sang-yoon gradually backed away, his expression still surprised. But the very next second, his eyes flashed with excitement. "It looks like the target I need to eliminate has finally appeared." The silver wolves could no longer hold back and charged like wild beasts. Sang-yoon also leaped off the ground, plunging straight into the middle of the pack. That was just the warm-up. Now the real thing begins. His sword carved a deep gash on the back of one wolf. This fifth-floor trial is turning out to be a little interesting. Sang-yoon moved in a zigzag pattern and with a single sword stroke wounded several silver wolves. The system immediately sent him a notification. Swordsmanship skill E has reached 100% proficiency. Sang-yoon calmly landed back on the ground. Not bad, he thought to himself. The swordsmanship skill I acquired on the third floor has almost reached its maximum level. Since it's a low-tier skill, it's not that good. I'll have to find other skills. So the experience points I gain won't be wasted. Two others suddenly lunged at him. Sang-yoon raised his sword, taunting them. "Come on, all of you puppies, let me grind some levels." A moment later, the entire pack of silver wolves was annihilated. Soul orbs began to rise from their corpses, and Sang-yoon reached out to absorb them. The lightning effect barely activated. It seems 10% is a bit low. The system continuously sent him notifications. You have absorbed the soul of a berserk wolf. Skill proficiency increased by 16%. Looking at the system panel, he muttered to himself. The experience isn't much, but my soul manipulation skill has increased a bit. Let's see how much proficiency I'll gain on this fifth floor after absorbing many wolf souls. Sang-yoon slowly advanced. It seemed he had reached the center of the valley. Suddenly his eyes widened in surprise. As he walked forward, he saw the ground was littered with the corpses of silver wolves. How strange. Why are there so many corpses? He bent down to examine a corpse, this slash mark that split it in half. Someone else was here before me. Looking around, he spotted more clues. There were some on the cliff face as well. I need to investigate this. Sang-yoon immediately used the new skill he had just obtained, Eye of Truth. His eyes scanned the slash mark, sending the data to the system. It instantly sent back information. Light sword / D rank. A very fast and precise slash. The person who made this cut is quite proficient. Sang-yoon stood up, wondering to himself. A user with proficient skills, huh? His expression darkened. Even with the analysis, there's still a lot I don't understand. It seems this is going to be a tough opponent. Suddenly, a loud noise echoed. Sang-yoon immediately rushed toward the source of the sound. He shot forward like the wind. He seemed to have discovered something. His expression was slightly surprised. Before him was a large cave. Just then, a silver wolf was sent flying out of it, tumbling across the ground. Sang-yoon's eyes widened. He himself was a bit startled, so this is it. A system notification rang out. Condition to pass the fifth-floor trial, the werewolf leader has died. Determining cause and resolution. Sang-yoon's face darkened and his eyes grew cold. My target has already been defeated. Now what do I do? The system suddenly reported the analysis was complete and issued a new mission. A challenger from another dimension has infiltrated your mission space. Mission objective updated. Eliminate the challenger who has trespassed into your mission space. That challenger was Ket looking at the man's colossal figure. Sang-joon was shocked. He infiltrated this place. A challenger from another dimension. He had just learned a new secret. So there are other dimensions besides Earth. Does that mean there are many other towers of trials? A worried expression appeared on his face. Things were truly getting unpredictable. Seeing Sang-joon standing motionless for a long time, Ket spoke first. A challenger from an underdeveloped dimension, are you? What kind of mission did you come here for? He pointed the tip of his sword at him threateningly. Are you too scared to speak? Looks like this is the end for you. Sang-joon gritted his teeth, his face filled with caution. This guy looks like he'll be a handful. The system appeared to remind Sang-joon. Eliminate the challenger who has trespassed into your mission space. A strong wind rose the atmosphere around him and Ket. Became incredibly tense. Sang-joon looked ahead warily, thinking to himself, I had no idea the target could be stolen by someone else. A worried expression appeared on his face. Still, I guess I should be thankful the trial hasn't failed yet. Seeing him just stand there, Ket lost all patience. The fact that you can't answer me proves you're terrified. In that case, I'll begin. Prepare to die. Seeing the man get into a stance, Sang-joon's vigilance heightened. He's attacking. Ket charged forward with his sword. He was so fast it was impossible to see the attack coming to block it. Sang-joon lifted the dead werewolf's corpse from the ground. He kicked it hard towards Ket, creating a distraction. The silver wolf's corpse flew forward. Ket calmly swung his sword, slashing the corpse away. His eyes suddenly darted to the side as his attention was on the corpse. Sang-joon had quickly circled behind him. Raising his sword, he growled, Got you! He lunged forward, thrusting the tip of his sword at Ket. A piercing sound rang out immediately after. A look of surprise crossed his face. He couldn't believe his eyes. What the hell, I was going to slice his armor in two. An enraged Ket raised his sword. A surge of power enveloped the blade. You think it's that simple? He slashed straight towards Sang-joon with immense power. Sang-joon had to block the blow with his shield. But a moment later, his shield shattered into pieces. He was sent flying back by Ket, and his sword fell from his hand. Sang-joon was at a disadvantage, his entire body slamming hard against a boulder behind him. His body was seriously injured from that blow. Sang-joon gritted his teeth, trying to get back up. His wrist was broken, and fresh blood dripped to the ground as Ket walked closer to him. His laughter echoed throughout the valley. I can't believe you blocked my light sword. You're a bit of a nuisance, aren't you? You're not as easy to take down as I thought. Clutching his wound, he yelled his question at the man. An intruder from another dimension, how could you invade my space? Hearing this, Ket sneered at him, just as I thought a total rookie. You don't even know what a floor crash is. Sang-jun could do nothing but curse in anger. Damn it, he mumbled resentfully. Why does this kind of thing always happen on my tower's trial floors? Ket was now very close to him. He raised his sword and spoke coldly. Don't blame me. The tower has always been this way, you just didn't know it. I won't drag this out. I'll end it right here and now. Sang-yun can't die here. He reached out to stop Ket. Wait, he tried to pry more information from Ket. At least can you tell me what a spatial floor intrusion is? The guy stared at him for a long while, seemingly deep in thought. Then the guy made his decision. You're going to die anyway, so it doesn't matter. He began to explain to Sang-yun one of the features unlocked on the 8th floor. It's called spatial floor intrusion. You can buy a spatial floor intrusion ticket at the shop to interfere with another person's trial. Hearing that, Sang-yun immediately had a question. Also, you mentioned a Genesis space. Does that mean you're from another dimension? Ket answered casually. Where else do you think I could be from? Having received his answer, Sang-yun slowly got to his feet. I see. His eyes flashed with a purple light. Eye of Truth. The system quickly received his command. Skill Eye of Truth activated. The target is telling the truth. Hearing the system's notification, Sang-yun was able to verify the information he had just received. So he wasn't lying. Ket, knowing that he had used Eye of Truth on him, immediately flew into a rage. That was a very insolent thing to do. How dare you scrutinize me? Sang-yun then smiled, taunting him. Well, that's right. What are you going to do about it? His last words made Ket even angrier. What? How dare a rookie bastard? He looked at the guy and asked, since you gave me the information I needed in return, would you like to know something interesting? He looked down at his broken arm and explained, I can endure an arm like this thanks to something called the pain resistance skill. This means I don't have to support my arm because of the pain. The very next second, he removed the hand supporting his broken wrist. If I let go of this arm... Sang-yun used the system's ability. Skill Rapid Recovery has been activated. His wrist healed instantly in the blink of an eye. My rapid recovery skill will automatically heal it. I did this because I thought that only when I looked like I was at a disadvantage. Would you be willing to spit out some truthful information? After hearing this, Ket couldn't believe he had been led by the nose by Sang-yun this whole time. He swung his sword back forcefully. You're a swordsman with healing abilities. But if your real strength is only what you showed just now, it doesn't change the fact that you're about to die. Sang-yun smiled and stomped his foot on the ground, kicking his sword up into the air. I'm not as weak as you think. His eyes gleamed with delight. For some reason, my power just keeps on increasing. The system continuously chimed with notifications. Your stats have been permanently increased by reserved souls. Seeing this, Ket couldn't help but be startled. You have both healing and enhancement skills. Meanwhile, Sang-yun had already taken a stance ready to charge and attack. The special effect of the assassin's cloak has been activated. The aura around him became incredibly powerful. Instant acceleration. Ket couldn't seem to believe his eyes. He exclaimed in astonishment, Are you insane? How can a challenger on the 5th floor have so many skills? Immediately after Sang-yun charged forward powerfully, the two of them rushed into battle. The sound of their two swords clashing was ear-splitting. In the end, Ket was pushed back. The guy gritted his teeth and cursed. Damn it. Is it because this is the 5th floor? How can he be that strong? To finish off Sang-yun, he unleashed his full power. That damn rookie Sang-yun seemed to see something. With a flash, he leaned back, dodging Kate's sword. In the blink of an eye, Kate had already charged forward, surprising him. Sang-yun was forced to fall back. Seeing this, Kate pressed his advantage. It was a high-level enhancement skill. Getting hit by it would be extremely dangerous. Sang-yun was calculating in his head, but since my stats are higher, I'm confident I can avoid a life-threatening blow, but the real problem is... His eyes locked onto Kate. His armor is a high-grade piece of equipment. Something I can't penetrate with my current abilities. While trying to dodge the man's attacks, he carefully approached him to strike the armor, but if I just keep applying pressure like this... Suddenly, Sang-yun's sword flashed with a brilliant golden light. Kate's entire body seized up as if electrocuted. Not understanding what was happening, Kate screamed in pain. What is this now? The system window then appeared. Thundersword C attacking with this weapon. Has a 10% chance to create a lightning effect. A triumphant smile spread across Sang-yun's face. That's right, this is it. Instantly, Kate was sent flying like a broken kite. His body tumbled across the ground as a hoarse groan escaped his lips. Sang-yun frowned, thinking to himself. It would have been difficult if that armor had actually resisted the paralysis effect, but luckily luck was on my side this time. Just then, Kate trembled violently as he tried to force himself up. But his body had no strength left. He whispered in self-reproach, if this were a normal situation, I would have won. How can a challenger from the 5th floor possibly have so many skills? He walked closer, his voice as cold as ice. You're the one who got careless because you were too confident in your armor and the level gap. Sang-yun tightened his grip on his sword and yelled, This ends now. Kate panicked and tried to bargain. Wait, I'll answer any of your questions. But Sang-yoon's eyes and reply were filled with killing intent. I don't need to. In that instant, he twisted his wrist and the sword plunged straight through Kate's chest, causing him excruciating pain. He hissed, "You barbaric bastard!" Blood sprayed onto the ground as his trembling hand reached out, but a moment later, all life faded from his body. His hand dropped to the ground. Sang-yoon watched the scene with an unwavering gaze. I'm getting more and more indifferent to killing. He let out a small sigh, but hesitating every time will only lead to trouble. Right after that, a system notification sounded. Congratulations, you have completed the 5th floor of the Tower of Trials. At that moment, Kate's body began to dissolve into bright wisps of smoke, startling him. He immediately focused on absorbing the lingering aura. The light gathered in his palm before flowing into his body. A moment later, Kate vanished completely and the system showed a new update. You have absorbed the soul of the challenger, Kate. Strength has increased by 15%. Sang-yoon sighed in relief. I almost missed my chance to absorb it. I wonder if you disappear like that when you die in another dimension? He then waited for a moment but frowned when no reward notification appeared. But where is the reward announcement? Just then, the system explained. Due to the trial's difficulty, there is no reward. All rewards will be modified. Hearing that, his expression shifted slightly and the system chimed again. You have learned the skill 3-step/A-. Sang-yoon smiled faintly. The rank C- reward became a rank A-. The more he thought about it, the more excited he got. For the original reward to change this drastically. It just goes to show how powerful that invading knight really was. Getting an A- rank skill is amazing. The system notifications continued. You will now proceed to the 6th floor lobby. All wounds and abnormal status effects will be removed. The challenger's information. Han Sang-yoon will be displayed on the status board. As a portal of light opened, he slowly walked through it. While walking, he muttered inventory. Instantly, his item storage appeared. Countless glowing items filled his vision. He took off his jacket and sat down to rest. So invading dimensions are real. I can't let my guard down inside the Tower of Trials. He thought to himself, I'll have so many questions by the time I reach the 8th floor. A moment later, a familiar system notification chimed. Please write the questions you wish to ask. The admin will answer your questions within permissible limits. The number of questions you can ask is 5. He muttered to himself, should I ask what an invasion floor from another dimension is, or if I'll be warned when a challenger? Can other floors invade my challenge mission area? After thinking, he sent the query. I guess that's all. The system announced that your question has been sent. Surprisingly, the reply came very quickly. The answer had been sent back. This speed couldn't help but surprise him. That fast, Sun-gyun immediately opened it to read. Floor invasion is a system where you can invade another person's challenge area but only within the first 10 levels. However, you cannot interfere with special challenges, such as the combination challenge. This is a function you can acquire on the 8th floor, which means you cannot use it right now. After reading, he paused. Sun-gyun was so stunned his eyes went wide. The answer he needed was how to invade another person's mission space. But immediately, a red warning appeared. You cannot obtain this information on the current floor. Only the first question was answered, so your question count will not be fully consumed. After hearing that, he was confused. What I thought I'd get an answer every time I ask a question. At this point, Sun-gyun let out a soft sigh. Luckily, I didn't waste a question. Then he exclaimed excitedly, time to try out the best stuff I've got. He hurriedly opened his inventory. After opening his item storage, he took out a broken shield and a chest. The system chimed, you have used Kroken's magic repair box. To repair the mysterious hunter's shield, you have used one of Kroken's magic repair boxes. Looking at the gleaming shield, a satisfied expression was clear on his face. Wow, the repair feature of this box is better than I thought. Right after the system displayed again, you have used a cleansing stone. Sun-gyun glanced at the stone in his hand, shrugged, and said, I thought this cleansing stone was a pretty underwhelming item. However, when he rubbed the stone on his skin, a cool mist of mana spread out, making him feel satisfied. But using this to take a bath is just perfect. A moment later, the system continued to announce, time remaining to enter the 6th floor, 1 hour and 12 minutes. Seeing this, he gave a faint smile. Plenty of time, huh? I'll take a quick look at the challenge rankings and the community board. Let's see. When he opened the ranking board, the list of challengers appeared. Sun-gyun was stunned. I'm in 3rd place. He couldn't believe his eyes. I jumped from 16th to 3rd place. Sun-gyun let out a smug little smile. So this is the benefit of being a top ranker, huh? Let's see what I'll get when I reach the 8th floor. At this moment, the system displayed, you have entered the hard difficulty community. A noisy chat log appeared. Buying debuff resistance skill. As he was feeling confused, the chat scrolled by with a torrent of curses. Damn it, stop the robbing and killing, you inhuman monsters, he thought with a headache. It really is chaotic. Just as they said, this place is completely disorderly and chaotic. What is going on? Sun-gyun mused for a moment. The debuff resistance skill is the most actively traded skill right now. I wonder if it's a double-edged sword. Although its effect of resisting mental instability is quite good, but it also has its limitations. The user has to give up a slot to equip that skill, and it's only useful in a few specific situations. But I think I should still bring it along. Suddenly, something interrupted his train of thought. A new notification caught his attention. Hey, does everyone know that the bastard who gave us that info on the 4th floor has changed his name to Princess Sudi, even though it's just a competition between challengers? Are they really planning to gang up and kill him? Sung-gyun frowned in suspicion. That guy is the one who caused trouble on the 4th floor, right? I remember he's the one who deliberately made everyone hate each other. A flash of annoyance passed through him as he muttered softly, "Don't tell me I'm going to run into that guy again." Right after that, he swiped the system interface away. Princess Sudi, huh? I will remember that name. Soon enough, the system popped up, asking if you would accept the challenge of the 6th floor. The interface window vanished. The challenge reward was a B-rank mystery box, and the penalty for failure was death. Sang-yoon took a deep breath and stepped through the spatial gate. In just a flash, the scene before him completely changed. A vast ocean stretched as far as the eye could see. He squinted in surprise. This time it's an ocean. The system announced that teammate allocation was complete, and to cooperate with them to finish the challenge. He looked around, confused. Wait a minute, Sung-yoon looked back and forth, utterly bewildered. Where are my teammates? Don't tell me they overslept. Suddenly, a sharp spear flew straight at him. Sung-yoon reacted instantly, swinging his arm up to catch the shaft and yanking it hard, pulling a man out from the gate. The man's body slammed onto the ground, his face filled with panic. Sang-yoon spun around and forcefully shoved him onto the stone floor. He stepped closer to question him, attacking a teammate. What the hell are you doing? He gritted his teeth and yelled, "Damn it, you'd know why if you checked the community board," he said calmly. "Killing people is the easiest way to get the reward." Upon hearing this information, Sung-yoon slightly raised an eyebrow. So killing teammates is fine as long as there's a reward, huh? Suddenly the man burst into a crazed laughter. "You damn hypocrite. Before you act all righteous, just take a look around." Just then, screams echoed from all directions. "Wait, don't do this, we're teammates!" Those whose minds were clouded by greed were frantically stabbing and killing their teammates. I'm not the one who's wrong. If you want to blame someone, blame the Tower of Trials. Blood splattered everywhere as groans mixed with the harsh clang of metal. Just die already so I can get my reward. All that remained in the surrounding chaos were agonizing cries. "You traitor, save me!" He looked at Sung-yoon and then spoke. "Now, do you get it?" Amidst that scene, the man in front of Sang-yoon laughed and cursed at him. "You hypocrite," hearing those words. Sang-yoon could no longer tolerate it, raising his sword, and without a moment's hesitation, he slashed at the man near him. At the same time, two other people shook hands in a moment like this. "We should join forces?" The chubby guy chuckled. "I'm glad to meet someone who thinks the same way." The girl next to him frowned slightly. "How can you be so shameless about betraying others?" He gave a sarcastic sneer. "What a bunch of fools. How can you pass the challenge without working together?" But he never saw it coming. The girl suddenly stabbed him straight in the chest, a triumphant smirk on her face. "That's right, you should have realized that I'm the type of person who doesn't need teammates." She shot him an icy glare, shaking hands with me without letting your guard down at all. "How can you even call yourself a challenger?" Instantly, the system announced, "You have earned the backstab achievement. Your endurance has increased by 1. A purple-haired person standing nearby tilted their head, looking at Sung-yoon and said, "Let's be honest. You want that reward too, don't you?" He cleared his throat, "So stop acting like a hypocrite." In that moment, a glint of opportunity flashed in his eyes. While he wasn't looking, the man rushed forward, shouting, "Die!" His sword sliced through the air, aimed straight at him, but in a flash, Sang-yoon spun around and counterattacked. The tip of his sword plunged backward, piercing through the man's chest. He coughed up blood in agony. "Damn it! How could he?" The system quickly updated, "You have obtained the achievement Betrayal. Strength has increased by 1. Sang-yoon let out a small smirk. He looked down at the man with contempt. Too weak. With that done, Sang-yoon reassessed the situation. A special challenge, I see. A cooperative team challenge. Even so, this isn't much different from a regular event. He walked slowly forward. But winning grants an additional high-level skill. This is a pretty good mission, then. I need to try my best to win this one. I won't kill people without a reason. His eyes lit up with determination. But if someone gives me a reason, that's another story. At that same moment, not far away, another challenger raised his hands to form a seal. He skillfully created a magic shield. The water around him churned as a transparent sphere of spiritual energy enveloped his entire body. He threw his head back and laughed triumphantly. "This challenge is only for those who can use water attribute magic like me." However, before his laughter faded, he instantly felt a chilling, killing intent. He could only see Sang-yoon charging from afar, his figure blurring in the blink of an eye. Sang-yoon leaped high into the air, his eyes blazing with killing intent, aimed straight at him. The man screamed in terror. "Who is this bastard?" But Sang-yoon didn't answer. He just stomped down hard on the sphere. He screamed in despair, "This is a bulletproof magic shield." "You bastard!" But just one moment later, the sphere exploded, sending out violent waves of spiritual energy. Sang-yoon showed no mercy, landing a powerful punch to his face that made him cough up blood. His entire body was sent flying far away, then slammed hard onto the ground, dying instantly. He landed with an incredibly calm expression. That might have been a bit overkill, but if I do this... Nearby, another challenger who saw this turned pale. He trembled and backed away. Is he a high ranker? I'll take a different route then. To the right, a blonde-haired man who witnessed everything had sweat streaming down his face as he stammered, "That monster bastard!" Sang-yoon glanced over, thinking to himself that he could scare the others away. Honestly, I really want the reward, but I don't want to kill people without reason. At that moment, the system announced, "Capture the base" in the challenge. If a member of another team enters your base, the capture process will be paused. Prevent the enemy from taking your base, he mused to himself. I just need to hold this base for another 10 minutes. Sang-yoon sat down cross-legged, quietly contemplating. The high-ranking challengers who didn't use a return stone on the 5th floor probably cleared the 6th floor as soon as they got here. Immediately, I guess. Most of the people here are low-ranked, so it's quite easy for me. His face was deep in thought. The 6th floor challenge makes me think about many things. Trust no one. Misplaced compassion is a mistake. That's the true lesson to be learned from this challenge. After a moment, Sang-yoon decided resolutely, anyone, even a teammate, can be an enemy, even if I spare someone's life. If I let them go to another base, they will just have to die there anyway. Just then, the system's voice suddenly announced, "Someone has entered your base," which surprised him. He turned around to see a group of 4 people approaching. Sang-yoon smirked. Well, this is impressive. You must be wondering why there are 4 of us in a 2-person team challenge, right? Seeing the approaching man, Sang-yoon replied casually, "Looking at you guys, it's pretty obvious." He gave a sarcastic smirk. 4 guys ganging up, combining 2 teams to get an advantage over the others? Unfazed, Sang-yoon even let out a laugh. That's right. Just as you said, die you bastard. Immediately, 2 members of his team charged forward as fast as lightning. Sang-yoon instantly got into a defensive stance, tightening his grip on his sword hilt. He placed 2 hands in front of his chest and issued the command, "Heart in unison." His entire body lit up as spiritual energy coiled tightly around him, the special attribute of the heart in unison skill. His hand tightened on the sword. Kim Ji-hyun's pain will be shared with Han Sang-jun. Then without hesitation, he fiercely stabbed the sword into his own arm, blood flowing down as a violent aura erupted. His hand once again radiated a fierce energy as the sword fell to the ground. The system immediately intervened. Pain reduction skill activated. All pain will be reduced by 15%. Just then, the bald guy in front charged aggressively. He directly threw a bucket of water on him. Sang-jun froze for a moment. Seawater. The system immediately displayed, "You have touched the trial's seawater." Strength decreased by 10, agility decreased by 10, endurance decreased by 10. Debuff duration remaining 2 minutes and 59 seconds. He frowned in disbelief. There's a debuff just for touching seawater. Looking at them surrounding him, his expression turned strange. This is going to be bad. The 2 guys on the other side charged simultaneously, their swords cutting through the air, but Sang-jun remained calm. The corners of his lips curled up with interest. If I were just a normal challenger. 2 men with swords rushed towards him, their footsteps pounding loudly on the ground. One brought his sword down, however he dodged in an instant, causing the blade to slice through empty air. Sang-jun sneered. Your plan to get rid of my weapon and lower my stats isn't half bad, but you've made one fatal mistake. Immediately after, he shot his hand out, gripping the man's neck tightly. He pulled him close and said coldly, "And that is the fact that you chose the wrong opponent." Next, Sang-jun slammed the man onto the ground with great force. The scene before them made the other 3 gasp in horror. The system quickly registered it. You have received the achievement 1-hit kill. You have learned the skill Scorn for the Weak. The bald guy charged aggressively, shouting repeatedly, "Die, you bastard!" The system responded instantly. The stats of all current opponents are lower than yours. He swung his sword fiercely, slashing down at him, but his expression suddenly turned to bewilderment upon realization. Sang-jun had vanished from sight. In the blink of an eye, he landed a powerful kick to his face, sending him staggering, unable to react. As he staggered, Sang-jun immediately brought a blow down on the top of his head. The system announced, "You have received the achievement Ruthless Killer. Dexterity has increased by 1. The bald guy fell to the ground. Blood splattered, staining the ground red. Sang-jun's face was filled with horror as Sang-jun walked slowly towards the 2 remaining people. Ji-hyun anxiously turned and asked, "What do we do now? Should we attack at the same time?" Sang-jun suddenly drew his sword and slashed straight at Ji-hyun's leg. Blood splattered everywhere as he screamed in desperate pain. Ji-hyun fell to the ground, his body trembling and writhing in agony. Immediately, Sang-jun also felt a heart-wrenching pain shoot up from his leg, forcing him to his knees. As cold sweat broke out, Sang-jun remembered. Just as that guy said, pain is the only thing we both share. Luckily, the damage itself isn't shared, but the problem is my movements will be restricted by the pain. Ji-hyun shouted angrily. You bastard, are you even human, however? Songjun stabbed straight into Ji-hyun again, making things even more chaotic. Songjun shouted loudly, "Don't come near me, you bastard!" But now Ji-hyun could only beg in pain stop. He yelled in a panic, "I'll put a hole in this guy if you get any closer." He stood up, struggling through the pain. Thank goodness I can still move because of my pain resistance skill, but at this rate it'll be hard to face that guy. Faced with this situation, Songjun was helpless. It seems this is the only way. His gaze shifted to Ji-hyun as he made his decision to eliminate the sorcerer with the synchronized heart. With that thought, he dashed towards Ji-hyun. Songjun delivered a clean, killing blow to his neck. A second later, an intense pain also spread across his own neck. Songjun clutched his neck in agony, trying to endure. Seeing this, Songjun thought to himself, "This is my only chance." He hastily grabbed his sword and charged. However, just as he swung the sword down, Songjun immediately raised both hands to block it. His eyes stared back full of warning. This sensation is pretty harsh, isn't it? You're curious about this feeling too, aren't you? A cold aura washed over him, making him tremble in fear. "I'm done for!" Songjun forcefully snatched the sword from Songjun's grasp. Ignoring his own blood-soaked hands, Songjun gritted his teeth and charged forward. He cleanly took his head, and the system immediately confirmed you have obtained the achievement Cold-Blooded Tower Climber. You have received 1,500 points, the system continued to announce. Time is up. You have occupied a territory. Everyone around cheered with joy. We're still alive. They couldn't hide their happiness. We did it. Hey, stop it. That's so gross. I can't stand it. He remained silent amidst the cheers, wondering if someone had instigated this, making so many people enthusiastic about the achievement for killing others at the start of the trial. In the end, the winners were the ones who kept their teams intact. He looked at everyone. Of course, a few were so traumatized they went mad and kept muttering. There are a few exceptions. I didn't do anything wrong. It's their own fault those bastards got killed. His gaze suddenly turned cold. Songjun looked at his blood-stained hands and wondered, do I look like a monster to others? Just then, the system's monotonous mechanical voice rang out. Congratulations, you have cleared the 6th floor of the trial tower. Please proceed to the waiting room immediately after a spatial gate opened. Songjun didn't hesitate to finish off the remaining ones. Their blood and souls vanished into the air as the system quickly registered, you have absorbed the soul of Lee Sung-jun. You have absorbed the soul of Kim Ji-hyun. You have absorbed the soul of Songjin UK, your innate talent. Necromancy has increased by 1 rank Necromancy D, the system didn't forget to remind him. You have entered the 7th floor waiting room. As soon as Songjun stepped inside, he received a notification. An achievement list has been created. Seeing this, he was a bit surprised. An achievement list. An achievement panel appeared before him. S-rank achievement, First Regressor. E-rank achievements, Fire-resistant Goblin Hunter Trader. He was excited. An S-rank achievement, First Regressor, huh? It's definitely not an ordinary achievement, is it? Songjun curiously tapped on the system panel. Should I take a closer look? The system displayed One-Shot Killer C-rank, an achievement obtained when you kill a challenger in a single blow. Ruthless E-rank, an achievement obtained when you continuously kill multiple challengers without hesitation. Cold-Blooded Tower Climber D-rank, an achievement obtained when you kill more than 5 challengers. In a single trial, seeing this, he assessed himself. I guess I've gotten quite a few achievements from killing? Huh, he muttered, summarizing the key points, and when you get an achievement. It seems I'll be given skill stats points and various other rewards. Songjun tried opening his inventory, and the interface immediately displayed Random Box B, a box wrapped with a golden ribbon. It gives you a random item. When opened, you will receive an item from F rank to B rank. He sighed with a look of disappointment. A random box, huh? I guess the reward for the 6th floor trial isn't going to be that great. If it's an item from F to B rank, there's not much to look forward to. Songjun suppressed his feelings and reached out to untie the box. I'll just open it and see what's inside first, then I'll finish absorbing the souls later. As soon as he opened it, a brilliant light spread out and something from inside the box suddenly jumped out. It rolled around in midair, then fell to the ground with a strange shape. Its whole body was bright green with 2 long ears. He looked at it with a completely bewildered expression as Songjun forced a smile. What is this? Do I need to catch it on the other side? The goblin stared at him with a look full of anticipation. He reached out and lunged for it, but the slippery goblin jumped up to dodge, making Songjun start to get irritated. He continued to reach for it, however the goblin still nimbly slipped away, refusing to give up. Songjun bent his knees and leaped, and at that very moment his 2 hands managed to grab it tightly. Songjun burst out laughing. Gotcha! Now the constrained goblin shrieked in anger and suddenly bit his hand hard, making Songjun scream in pain. The goblin seized the opportunity and quickly leaped from his grasp. A triumphant look was clear on its cheeky face. Songjun was completely pissed off. I was actually going to go easy on you because I thought you were cute. He clenched his fists and shot towards it, but now I'm getting serious. But the goblin was still faster. It jumped high, causing him to slip and fall to the ground. Songjun frowned slightly, determined to get revenge. He immediately got back up and leaped somersaulting in midair. Then he landed hard right in front of the goblin while Songjun simultaneously tightened his fist. Then he poured all his strength into punching it straight in the head, unleashing a critical strike. A deep crater formed as smoke billowed out, and in a flash, its entire body exploded into pieces. The system announced, "Congratulations, you have received an item of the highest possible rank." From a random box, he stared in astonishment, the highest rank. "So it's a B-rank item, huh?" Right after that, a necklace appeared, B-rank forged iron necklace, a necklace made of iron. It holds the passion of a skilled blacksmith who has worked with iron his entire life. When mana is infused, the blessing of steel will be activated. It requires a continuous supply of mana. However, there will be no skill cooldown. He took it from the system. Sang-yoon looked at the necklace in his hand, stunned. A forged iron necklace, huh? He was curious and decided to check it out. The system immediately displayed the effect Blessing of Steel from the B-rank forged iron necklace has been activated. Your skin has adapted to the attribute and can absorb 10% of damage from all physical attacks. A faint light spread around his body, surprising Sang-yoon. It increases all sword-related skills by 7% and absorbs 10%. Of physical damage, this is actually better than most A-rank items, isn't it? An overpowered item. Since it has both offensive and defensive effects, he excitedly put the necklace on. I wasn't expecting much, but it seems I hit the jackpot with this thing. But as soon as he put it on his neck, the system issued consecutive warnings. You have run out of mana. The Blessing of Steel effect from the B-rank forged iron necklace has been deactivated. He let out a frustrated sigh. I guess the drawback of this thing is its massive mana consumption. He tucked the necklace into his shirt. I should use it in emergencies and save up my mana for now. Sang-yoon looked at the system window with some hesitation now. Then should I check out the innate talent that just ranked up the system, displayed a prompt. Do you want to challenge the 7th floor of the trial? This notification successfully confused Sang-yoon. What's going on? I'm sure challengers always get a certain amount of time to rest in the waiting room before entering the next floor of the trial. He was momentarily suspicious. Getting through the trial faster isn't a bad thing for me, but does this also mean the waiting time has disappeared for others too? The system quickly replied. You have entered the hard difficulty community immediately after a series of messages appeared in the chat tower spirit. Everyone did, you guys know the waiting time is gone. He quietly assessed the situation, just as I thought it's happening to others too. The admin chat was in an uproar. It's slow, but I don't really see this as a big deal. Sang-yoon pondered and calculated in his head. It seems the disappearance of the waiting time doesn't really mean much to everyone, huh? It doesn't bring any benefits to the pioneers either. They only care about going home. He could conclude that it was because most of them were ranked challengers. Just then, the chat's direction suddenly shifted. Digger spoke up. I'm really creeped out by that bastard who sold the resistance skill. Veteran Hunter calmly interjected. Those bastards must have survived and are keeping quiet out of guilt. He silently considered the situation. The atmosphere is also different from the 6th floor. Those player-killing bastards must all be keeping quiet now, because the next trial is also solo. So there's no reason for them to draw attention to themselves. Sang-yoon's face darkened. Those player-killing bastards who treat their comrades' lives as mere tools are definitely my targets. I need to be more careful. Besides, Sang-yoon felt a slight thrill. I should learn a new skill that won't be swayed by any other diverse skills. He took a deep breath, getting ready now. Then let's see the necromancy skill that was upgraded to D rank from the 6th floor. With that thought, he opened the system window to look. Innate talent, necromancy, D, proficiency 0%. Basic effect can absorb the souls of the dead to enhance or strengthen stats. Sang-yoon pondered for a moment. It seems the basic effect has changed a bit. Before, it only increased my own stats. It reinforces the mana defense shield, but now it can also alter my magic or grant me the defensive shield I've been wishing for. I thought this skill might increase the efficiency of soul absorption, but it seems that's not the case. However, I still need a defensive skill that can protect my body. Sang-yoon then took the sword out of the system, tossing it up for a spin to test how good the soul shield was. He took a deep breath. Well, even if my hand gets chopped off, the waiting room has a recovery effect anyway. As the sword spun in midair, Sang-yoon clenched his fist and swung it up powerfully to block it. Immediately, an intense pressure erupted, causing the system to hurriedly issue a warning. To prevent injury, the souls absorbed the damage. Player Sang-yoon's held souls were consumed. Number of souls held 3 out of 30. He was momentarily surprised. Sang-yoon couldn't hide his joy. This is much better than I expected. He began to calculate carefully again. I'll keep 3 souls for defense for now instead of absorbing them all. Sang-yoon switched to the trial ranking section. Looking at the screen, he was slightly disappointed. Rank 4, huh? Looks like I've dropped in the rankings. It's a little disappointing, but not that important. After all, you just need to be in the top 50 to become a pioneer. Sang-yoon stretched and sighed lightly. It's a pain having to check this and that in the waiting room. I must be running out of time. He immediately opened a spatial gate. Time to head into the next trial. The system displayed the 7th floor trial will begin immediately. Difficulty hard. Objective of the next trial, prove yourself. Time remaining 40 minutes. Clearance condition, pass 3 trials within the given time limit. Sang-yoon was teleported before a grand hall. He looked around in surprise. A hallway. This is way different from the previous trials. Sang-yoon walked slowly, observing his surroundings. I can't sense any presence whatsoever. It's almost unnerving. A light breeze rustled his hair. A light flashed at the end of the hallway, and in that instant, a brilliant blue light swirled as if to swallow Sang-jun into another world. Before he could speculate further, the system announced, "You have entered the first trial area." In the blink of an eye, he was standing in a desolate wasteland. Sang-jun wondered where he was. Before him was a giant sand dune. Seeing it, he thought to himself, "I knew it." The ground suddenly began to shake violently. Then something enormous erupted from beneath the sand, kicking up a thick cloud of dust that obscured his vision. At that moment, Sang-jun realized it was a sand golem. He took a deep breath. This place. Looks like they're making me go through the tutorial trials again. The system chimed clearance condition pass 3 trials within the given time limit. Seeing this, Sang-jun thought to himself, so that means I need to clear them again. The 3 trials I've already passed before. He looked ahead. Honestly, I could beat a sand golem with my eyes closed now. So this is why they want me to hurry up and get to the 8th floor, huh? But this time, something far more colossal slowly emerged from the ground, its resounding noise making the earth tremble. Sang-jun looked up in astonishment. But are sand golems usually this huge? The giant monster's eyes flashed with a fierce light. Sang-jun chuckled in amusement. It looks 3 times bigger than before. The sand golem raised its stiff arm. Its eyes flashed with a menacing light aimed straight at him. Sang-jun smirked. All right, let's see what you got. Instantly, Sang-jun dashed forward, his body cutting through the raging sandstorm. His gaze still burned with killing intent. The sand golem roared and brought its giant arm crashing down. The impact made the ground shake violently. However, Sang-jun had already leaped onto its head in a flash. He frowned, slightly puzzled. Strange. He scanned its enormous body. But I'm extremely puzzled as to why I still haven't found this sand golem's core. It must have moved the core deeper inside as its body grew larger. Why did the sand golem suddenly lean over, causing Sang-yeon to lose his balance and almost fall? He revealed a panicked expression, but Sang-yeon quickly leaped away, dodging a fierce sweep from its boulder-like arm. Before Sang-yeon could regain his footing, the sand golem swung its hand to grab him. The immense power felt like it was suffocating the air. Its hand gripped him tightly as if crushing a tiny grain of sand. Suddenly, in a flash, a blinding light erupted from its arm. Sang-yeon used the opening to twist his body and escape the iron grip. Sliding safely to the ground, he quietly calculated, "If this method isn't effective, then I'll just have to chop this sand golem into pieces." With that thought, Sang-yeon swung his sword. A blinding flash of steel glinted amidst the sandstorm. Sang-yeon landed lightly on the ground. Just as he lowered his sword, its severed arm began to reconnect. The head that was split in 2 was also reforming. Sang-yeon narrowed his eyes, not at all surprised. "I knew it. It's no different than trying to cut sand with a knife. I'll have to find and destroy the golem's core some other way." Seeing the giant creature go berserk because it couldn't catch him, Sang-yeon burst out laughing. That just made it even angrier. "What a pain I am, huh?" He tried to get out of the danger zone. Right after that, it stomped heavily on the ground, making the entire sandy area shake as if it would explode. Sang-yeon leaned to the side to dodge a cold sweat running down his cheek. The sand golem roared and rushed frantically towards him. The pressure from each footstep sent sand flying everywhere. "It's come to this!" Sang-yeon could only look for a way to escape. Damn it. As he quickly analyzed, he realized this wasn't as simple as just dodging the golem's attacks. Its whole body was colliding with the ground. The pressure radiating outwards was also immense. Its giant fist rushed towards him again. Sang-yeon immediately rolled to the side to dodge. He ran frantically, but in just a moment the ground collapsed. Sang-yeon slid for a long way before falling into a deep pit. The sand golem still stood towering nearby. Sand flew everywhere, completely covering him in the pit. Sang-yeon hissed in annoyance. Okay, I'm starting to get pissed now. From above, the sand golem looked down, its eyes glowing red with a ferocious light. He gripped his sword tightly and stood up resolutely. As soon as the sand golem charged down, he took his stance. Then he activated the skill //. A system window displayed. Skill // mastery 0%, basic effect. Use mana to enhance the blade for 3 attacks. Following that, Sang-yeon swung his sword. His body moved like a lightning bolt, slicing off the sand golem's giant hand. Each sword stroke was like a hurricane, not only powerful, but also decisive. At that moment, Sang-yeon thought to himself, I could have shattered it in a single blow. But then his expression darkened. I was a bit annoyed that my trial mission had a fake challenger. Another intruder. After a moment, Sang-yeon smirked slightly. But now I'm actually grateful to that bastard. Thanks to him, I've gained more combat experience. Sang-yeon charged forward, attacking the sand golem, his sword flashing amidst the blinding sand. This damn golem can regenerate its body from the sand. I need to keep slashing it to pieces until I find its core. He sneered sarcastically at the creature before him. So go ahead and keep regenerating. He swung the sword in his hand. Because I'll just keep slashing again and again, he unleashed a storm of slashes one after another, leaving the sand golem no time to react. It could only take the full brunt of the attacks, and I won't stop slashing until you're completely pulverized. However, no matter how much he slashed, its body regenerated endlessly. Sang-yeon panted slightly, sweat dripping from his chin. What a persistent bastard. Where the hell is its core? Just then, his pupils suddenly dilated. He looked at the sand golem with disbelief. By the way, since when did you get so small and cute? The more Sang-yeon looked, the more stunned he became. He suddenly imagined the sand golem with a cute, pouting face. Sang-yeon analyzed internally. I'm guessing the amount of sand that makes up the golem's body is being used as a resource. And that resource can't be drawn infinitely from the surrounding environment. This explains why the golem is getting smaller, if this is true. A delighted smile unconsciously spread across Sang-yeon's lips. Hey, golem, want to lose some weight with me? Instantly, the sand golem roared and they both charged at each other. Sang-yeon spun in midair, unleashing a powerful kick, creating a deafening crash as the light from his sword flashed with his burning will. In an instant, the sand golem shattered into 100 pieces. It immediately crashed to the ground, its body trembling in pain, but it quickly regenerated and got back up. The sand golem glared at him, growling angrily. Just then, Sang-yeon's eyes lit up as if he had spotted something. Found it! Sang-yeon excitedly gripped his sword's hilt. It's on the golem's back. Slashing its body is pretty hard because it's so tough. This has taken a lot of energy, but I've finally found its core. He calculated to himself, I've just spent about 10 minutes. The time limit for the 7th floor trial is only 40 minutes. I'd better handle this quickly. Just then, the sand golem swung its fist. Sang-yeon quickly dodged and without hesitation countered with his sword. Did you get faster after losing some weight? How interesting. I'd love to play with you longer, but... In a flash, Sang-yeon zipped behind it and continued, I don't have time. He poured all his strength into a single sword strike. He stabbed straight into the core, one sword to end it all. The core shattered and a cry of agony echoed through the sandstorm as the system displayed a notification. You have proven that you can overcome your own fear. After that, the next congratulatory message appeared. The first trial has ended. The sand golem began to slowly fade away. Suddenly, a blinding light appeared in the space. A wary Sang-yeon immediately turned to look. Knowing he was about to leave, he resolved to collect its soul. All right, the golem's soul. The portal began to pull Sang-yeon in. He reached out to grab the soul, but the portal was too fast. So Sang-yeon missed it. A system notification immediately appeared. You have failed to extract the soul. He was furious when he got the news. My ability! The system continued to announce, you will now enter the area for the second trial. Prove your wisdom. But when he arrived, the scene before him stunned Sang-yeon. Huh! He furrowed his brow warily. This place. The surroundings were in chaos. The orc village from the 2nd floor trial. Just as I thought. This trial is based on a previous floor. Sang-yeon slowly and carefully stepped inside. A moment later, he froze. It seemed something was waiting there. A horde of orcs was already waiting there. Sang-yeon tensed up as soon as he saw them, thinking to himself, the orcs from the 2nd floor. I destroyed their village. Is this the aftermath? A lifeless orc lay on the ground. Another orc approached and gently closed its eyes. His own eyes were bloodshot, his body trembling uncontrollably. An immense rage seemed to fill the air. The entire horde of orcs roared in unison. Sang-yeon quickly recognized it, berserk, a state that occurs when monsters become extremely enraged. He assessed the situation for a moment and sighed to himself. A berserk orc is no joke, and there's a whole horde of them. I'm so unlucky. The entire horde of berserk orcs charged straight at Sang-yeon, wielding heavy weapons, but he stood his ground calmly. Sang-yeon's brow furrowed, his gaze resolute. But come to think of it, you shouldn't act so heartbroken over losing your family. Not so openly, at least. Very quickly, the system announced, Skill Instant Acceleration has been activated. Skill Triple Slash has been activated. He gripped his sword and rushed towards them. At least not in front of me. Sometime later, an orc fell to its knees. Even in defeat, the orc chieftain was still growling, his body covered in wounds. Many of his brethren lay fallen on the ground. Sang-yeon saw the orc chieftain trembling uncontrollably and asked why. It hurts, doesn't it? Having to stand by and watch your family die. These very words successfully enraged him. Clan Chief Ott roared endlessly, leaping up and using the last of his strength to fight Sang-yeon to the death. But Sang-yeon had no trouble at all. He dodged the attack. Sang-yeon's eyes hardened, emitting a blue ray of light. With a single strike, he sliced off his opponent's head and the system announcement rang out immediately after. You have proven your wisdom. The second trial is complete. Learning from his past mistake of missing a soul collection this time, Sang-yeon didn't hesitate and immediately turned around. I can't delay any longer. He reached out his hand and began to collect the soul. Streams of spirit energy flowed one by one into Sang-yeon's body as the system announced continuously, you have absorbed the soul of Hunter Ott. All abilities increased by 6%. Number of souls possessed 19 out of 30. Sang-yeon was overjoyed at the news. Great, the announcements hadn't stopped yet. The instant acceleration skill has leveled up to rank D. You will now proceed to the area for the third trial. Prove that you have overcome your hesitation. He found the announcement strange. This trial is so random. In the blink of an eye, Sang-yoon was teleported to another place. He stared in confusion at the scene before him. Is this the pursuit zone from the 6th floor? Sang-yoon began to observe his surroundings to get a better grasp of the situation. The previous trials were on floors 1 and 2, so I thought this would be the 3rd floor. But a moment later, he remembered and sighed in frustration. For the tower to use that foolish trial for wisdom. It's truly idiotic to expect any logic from this place. Sang-yoon called out to summon his inventory. The item he took out was a special healing potion. Drinking it increases stamina and magic by 20%. He quickly opened the cap. Without any hesitation, Sang-yoon chugged down the liquid inside. In an instant, his entire body was restored. I feel stronger now. Sang-yoon observed the wild space around him and started to think of something. A moment later, he used all his strength to throw the bottle into the sea. Let's pollute the tower. But before he could do anything else, Sang-yoon was faced with danger. Waves rose higher than his head, and all the bricks behind him were tossed away one by one. Flying up into the air, Sang-yoon couldn't believe his eyes. I only threw a single bottle. Immediately after the system announced the effect of the Rank D Assassin's Cloak has been activated, speed increased by 15%. As soon as he heard that, he immediately used all his might to run as fast as he could. Sang-yoon thought seriously. So far, I've completed every requirement of the trials, which means to pass this one. I have to find the red pursuit brick. The sea waves were still rising relentlessly. Until then, I can't touch the water. He dashed forward without a moment's delay. I'll move much faster. At this speed, at least it won't catch up to me. Sang-yoon barely had a moment to rejoice before disaster struck. Great. The brick he had just stepped on was flung into the air, and an announcement rang out in that instant. You have touched the trial's water. Strength decreased by 10, agility decreased by 10, stamina decreased by 10. Penalty time 2 minutes and 59 seconds. Now on the water's surface, the bricks continued to be tossed up relentlessly. And here I thought the bricks would fly up in order. Sang-yoon was also thrown into the sky along with them. This is the consequence of thinking the tower would operate logically. He gritted his teeth and activated his instant acceleration skill. In the next second, Sang-yoon shot upwards like the wind. The bricks in that area continued to be tossed up. Sang-yoon gritted his teeth, his expression still incredibly confident. You think I'll die in a place like this? His figure shot forward, zipping from one brick to another. In no time, Sang-joon found the red brick on the other side. He locked onto his target and launched himself towards it. Sang-joon was giving it his all. This annoying challenge has to end soon, right? Out at sea, the whirlpool was still rising relentlessly, but he didn't falter, continuing to charge forward forcefully. Sang-joon was just about to reach the brick. Now it's following me directly. He launched himself high into the air once more, his eyes filled with hope. Just a little further. The whirlpool was still chasing him relentlessly. At that moment, Sang-joon seemed to notice something. A wave crashed down on him. Sang-joon cried out in pain as streams of dark energy attacked him, and at that moment the system made an announcement. The unique effect of the B-rank forged iron chain stone iron protection has been activated. 10% of all physical damage will be absorbed. The notifications rang out repeatedly. A soul has absorbed harmful damage for the user. A goblin hunter's soul has been destroyed. Those dark energy streams seem to be growing stronger. Sang-joon then realized that he must have been affected by that attack. The shield protected me from the damage of that last impact. Not long after, he finally managed to break free. Without a moment's rest, Sang-joon rushed forward, his speed now as fast as the wind. But it seemed it was too late. Time remaining 0 seconds. The unique effect of the assassin's cloak has ended. Sang-joon angrily cursed to himself, "Damn it, I'm out of mana." Instant acceleration will also end soon. He held out his hand, and a red orb was quickly summoned. Sang-joon put it in his mouth and covered it with his hand to prevent the energy from escaping. Very quickly, the system announced that magic power and energy had been replenished by using a goblin hunter's soul. Sang-joon was very pleased with this result. Great, my strength is back! The whirlpool was still churning relentlessly. Not having much time left, Sang-joon rushed towards it. The red brick was right before his eyes, just a little further. But at that moment, another pillar of water shot up in front of him. Sang-joon's eyes widened in shock. Unable to contain his emotions, he cursed. Damn it. Sang-joon once again pushed himself to the limit to get through. I don't know if I'll make it in time. A pair of wings appeared on his back, propelling his figure forward. His figure blurred as he entered the water, but as expected, he was still hit by a blast of energy. A goblin hunter's soul has been destroyed. In an instant, Sang-joon was thrown out. Just like that, he was once again getting further away from the red brick. His body, drained of all strength, went into a free fall. Unwilling to accept defeat, he screamed in despair. But somehow, the red brick was right below his landing spot. As he crashed down, rocks and debris flew everywhere, and dust filled the air. A goblin hunter's soul has been destroyed. Souls possessed 12 out of 31. After a long moment, the dust began to settle. Covered in wounds, Sang-joon lay on the red brick. But the next second, his eyes widened in shock. Those monstrous waves were all targeting him. He suppressed his fear and forced himself to watch. The system quickly announced that you have proven you've overcome your fear. The third trial has ended. Those waves also began to dissipate. A moment later, it turned into water and poured right on Sang-gyun's head. Even though he was furious, he was helpless. This damn trial pissed me off right to the very end. After everything, he finally returned. Congratulations, you have completed 7 floors of the trial tower. Please proceed to the Grand Hall. The system announced Sang-gyun had now returned. He let out a long sigh, frustrated with this trial. Worry kept welling up inside Sang-gyun. Honestly, I almost failed. He unconsciously bit his lip. It's already this hard. I don't know what the 8th floor's trial will be like. My luck won't last if I'm not well prepared. Suddenly, a sound caught Sang-gyun's attention. A moment later, the system announced that 1,000 people had completed the 7th floor of the trial tower. The system began to expand. The skill shop has been initialized, an intermediate trial has been created. The return point is now usable. The cross-floor invasion system is now active. He looked at the panel and considered his options. A skill shop, a return point, and cross-floor invasions. These are all things I need. But the most important thing is, the system displayed another message. You are the pioneer challenger on all floors. Please choose your aura. Sang-gyun's expression immediately became determined. This is it. The item he had to choose was the aura, a benefit for being a pioneer on all floors. However, the system added a reminder that challengers with an aura will receive a skill trait. And effects. Please choose carefully. This immediately confused Sang-gyun. Has the trial tower ever given advice before? This means the aura has a special meaning behind it. The choices appeared on the screen. Please choose an aura, ruler, hunter, or mage. Sang-gyun rubbed his chin, pondering. So these are the auras. I'll check the descriptions first. First is ruler. An aura that changes based on personal achievements. It's more of a common type than a special one and is closely connected to its trait. This is currently the most suitable aura for challenger Han Sang-gyun. After reading, Sang-gyun was surprised. It affects all abilities as well as traits. Above all, he noted the emphasis. The trial tower said this was the most suitable aura for him. Sang-gyun didn't give up and continued to check the others. So what about the other auras? Next is Hunter, an aura that anyone can use. It has a deep connection to improving abilities and skills through the aura's effect. This is currently a somewhat suitable aura for challenger Han Sang-gyun. He began to hesitate more. This one isn't too bad either. So the last one. Sang-gyun didn't think much and clicked on the remaining one. Mage and aura greatly influenced by talent and perseverance. The harder you work, the stronger you become. This one is terrible. Finally, after looking over them all, he made his decision. Let's forget this aura and choose between the first two. Sang-gyun navigated the system screen. The one I choose is... He confidently pressed the button for his chosen skill. In a flash, the system channeled energy into Sang-gyun. You have chosen ruler. Through the unique effect of the ruler aura, your trait will begin to evolve. The list of choices is based on the challenger's current abilities. Necromancer, using absorbed souls, you can summon powerful immortal skeletons. Magic swordsman, both swordsmanship and magic will increase and any related skills will be learned 3 times faster. Creator item crafting skills will increase and any related skills will be learned 3 times faster. Sang-gyun was a little surprised. So this is the effect of the ruler aura. After that, he pressed the button without any hesitation. It was an easy choice. The system continued with another announcement. The necromancy trait has been added to the summoner trait. Some effects have been adjusted. An information panel also appeared right after that. Status Han Sang-gyun, aura ruler, trait summoner D, unique power skill combination, aura ruler, unique power skill combination. Streams of energy then flowed into his body. Sang-gyun didn't know how long it would be before this ended. Finally, he was now incredibly strong. I have my own aura now. He pressed the button on the screen again to proceed. The system screen immediately displayed the information. Unique authority skill combination. Effect. You can combine any 2 skills. Sang-gyun was too stunned to react. I can combine 2 useless skills into a new one. He immediately thought to himself, this is amazing. A notification quickly appeared again. Open skill panel. Please select 2 skills to combine. Rapid recovery E plus pain resistance D, fire resistance F. Sang-gyun wondered which ones should I choose. He started thinking about his rarely used skills. A list of skills appeared on the screen. Intimidate the weak F, unceasing combat F. You have selected 2 skills. Do you confirm combining them? Yes, no. Sang-gyun pressed the button on the screen. Great, it's combining. Very quickly, the system announced skill combination successful. Then a brilliant flash of light appeared. A new skill has been created. The screen displayed that skill. Skill Powerful Breakthrough D has been created. Sang-gyun's jaw dropped as he read the information. Skill Powerful Breakthrough D. Proficiency 0%. Effect can break through any restriction or obstacle. Created by a skill or innate ability. However, your mana level must be higher than the controller's for it to be effective. This is what I got. Even now, he still couldn't believe it. I thought if I was lucky, I'd at least get a rank E skill. F plus F equals D, but it gave out a rank D skill. After a moment, he burst out laughing. This skill is insane. Sang-yeon pressed the system screen to try one more time. Just like before, the system displayed the information, open your skill list. Please select the skills you want to combine. Marksman's Insight F, Fire Resistance F. You have selected these two skills. He didn't hesitate to press the yes button on the screen. Combine them, yes, no. It didn't take long. A flash of light appeared. Skill combination successful. Sang-yeon waited in anticipation. I wonder what I'll get this time. Very quickly, the system showed the result. Skill Enhanced Eyes E has been created. Enhanced Eyes E. Proficiency 0%. Effect grants clairvoyance and vision is enhanced even in obstructed environments. Sang-yeon was a bit disappointed with this result. This time, it only went up 1 rank. He started to think about something. Is that all? Sang-yeon started to speculate. Intimidate the Weak F, Unceasing Combat F. The result of combining Intimidate the Weak and Unceasing Combat was quite good. It's because of their compatibility level. He seemed to have reached his own conclusion, so that means Marksman's Insight and Fire Resistance aren't compatible. Marksman's Insight F, Fire Resistance F. You can tell just by looking that they don't match. I guess that's the reason. After a tiring day, Sang-yeon lay down on his comfortable bed still thinking. And also that glorious reward for continuously being the pioneer. I feel like there's something strange about it. Sang-yeon kept thinking like this and couldn't fall asleep. Is it really because of my hard work, or am I just lucky? He suddenly fell silent, ceasing his thoughts. Then Sang-yeon suddenly sat bolt upright. Forget it. For now, let's check the reward. He was surprised when he opened the system screen. Graceful as the Wind A. Proficiency 0%. Effect increases movement speed by 10%. Just as the skill's name declares, this effect can be stacked 7 times. When the stacked effect reaches its maximum, the skill's cooldown is 1 day. Sang-yeon read the information in amazement. A whole 10% increase in movement speed, that's awesome. And I can stack it up to 7 times. He began to imagine himself moving at the speed of light, which meant he could increase his speed by up to 70%. Sang-jun also discovered something special, and this skill didn't cost any mana. He was now incredibly excited, feeling as graceful as the wind with no weaknesses. Sang-jun started searching through his inventory again. Before long, he had put on a new pair of shoes. Very quickly, the system announced Acceleration Boots C plus Attack Speed plus 3% Movement Speed plus 5%. The boots were decorated with small wings made of mechanical magic. Their movement would gradually increase until reaching a certain speed. Sang-jun looked at the boots with great satisfaction. I like how all the floor rewards are related to speed. Notifications then appeared continuously. You have entered the skill shop. The list of skills you can purchase is now being displayed. Petrification D-, Immobilize E-, Monster Fortification F-, Weapon Enchantment E-. Instant Acceleration D-, Mana Sense D-, Mana Shield D-, Enhanced Vision F-. Sang-jun became hesitant. He didn't expect the skills sold in the shop to be so crappy. And they were quite expensive too. He clearly showed his disdain. The Instant Acceleration skill cost 8,000 points, damn expensive. But in the end, Sang-jun still had to bite the bullet and accept it. But I still need a magic-related skill. Very quickly, the system confirmed you have purchased Mana Sense D-. 15,000 points have been deducted. You have purchased Magic Resistance Skill D-. 12,000 points have been deducted. Magic Resistance D-, Proficiency 0%. Your body partially resists external magic. If the user does not have the Mana Sense skill, the effect will rapidly decrease. However, Sang-jun's eyes were filled with confidence. If I have this skill, I'll be able to prevent myself from being affected by a mind-affecting skill like before. At that moment, streams of energy once again flowed into his body. Mana Sense D-, Proficiency 0%. The mana in your body will form a perimeter around you and enhance the effectiveness of mana perception. Mana Sense is being engraved into the user's body. But an uncomfortable feeling appeared in Sang-jun as if he were being burned. A blinding flash of light appeared in the room. That stream of energy pulsed for a while, only ending after a long moment. Sang-jun slowly stepped off the bed to feel his body. He seemed a little surprised by this strange new sensation. Gently, Sang-jun took a few test steps around the room. Suddenly, he froze his eyes, calculating something. A second later, Sang-jun poured all his strength into his leg. He stomped hard on the ground. Sang-jun's power instantly spread throughout the room, his eyes widening in complete shock. Sang-jun began to speculate. Could it be that after learning those skills? It also increased my physical strength. He was now incredibly excited, realizing he had gotten a great deal. At that moment, the system announced you can use necromancy to awaken a dead person. Nearby at this time, the rank of the awakened being will be proportional to the quality and quantity of souls used. Sang-jun clicked on it out of curiosity. I'm quite curious about this skill that awakens the dead. But he had another thought. I'll try using it in the arena later. Sang-jun placed his hands on his hips and sighed deeply. He became extremely conflicted. Now it's time to decide. Sang-jun's eyes burned with determination. Should I directly challenge the next trial, or return to Earth? Over here, a notification rang out from the party recruitment board emergency gate at the Great Cataclysm Memorial Plaza, seeking 1 tank. 1 healer, D rank or higher. Hunters recruited 0. You have no party members. That young man was extremely worried. Oh, man. Why can't I find any members? Suddenly, at that moment, someone approached. That person walked up and sneered, "Yo," still looking for members to join. He kept asking why you won't give us the gate pass. That person even smirked slyly. The pass will be revoked if you don't enter the gate within a certain amount of time. So why not make a little money and hand it over? The other guy looked annoyed as soon as he saw them, thinking to himself, he's here again. So annoying. He spoke up, repeating what he said before I've already told you. I have no intention of handing it over, you damn bastard. That person laughed scornfully, and why do you think that is? You haven't received any party requests when there are plenty of hunters around, have you? Looks like I'll have to be the bad guy. He directly called the young man out. Let me be blunt, you're just an E rank. He was stunned hearing this. Who would want to party up with a piece of trash like you? They all laughed mockingly at the young man. That's gotta sting. But he's right. Suddenly, at that moment, someone else spoke up. Does your party still have room? The person who walked in made everyone look up. Han Sang-jun took out his papers. I am Han Sang-jun, a C-rank hunter. He frowned deeply at the group. Is that good enough for you? The other guy didn't even have to think. He stood up and agreed right away. Yes, of course. Seeing this, that guy immediately got pissed off. Hey, pal, didn't you see all of us waiting here? Are you blind or something? Sang-jun didn't pay him any mind and just smirked. He coldly shot back, if you're so bothered, you should have joined Lee Jong-won's party. Seeing that the guy yelled, what? You want to die also? Sang-jun shot a death glare at him. Get that hand off me now before I break it. Jong-won was intimidated by Sang-jun's aura. He fearfully pulled his hand off his shoulder. Jong-won couldn't believe it, thinking, how is his aura this strong? Don't tell me he's a C-rank just like me. Jong-won's lackeys watched excitedly look at that overwhelming aura, as expected of our boss. He immediately turned to glare at them. It's not me, you morons. Then Jong-won let out a small cough. Since the association staff is waiting, I'll let this slide just this once. To his cronies' surprise, he urged, you should consider yourself lucky. Let's go. Meanwhile, Jong-won was fretting when Sang-jun suddenly called out, startling him. Hunter Lee Jong-won. He glanced at Jong-won and suggested, given the situation, it looks like no one else wants to join our party. Shall we head in now? The young man heard this and looked completely baffled. Jong-won couldn't believe it, and blurted out, just the 2 of us after that. Sang-jun and he walked through the dimensional gate. Jong-won looked around cautiously. I can't believe we actually went in. Seeing his reaction, Sang-jun reassured him, don't be too afraid. I can handle most of the monsters in a D-rank dungeon. Hearing that, he calmed down a bit. Then Jong-won became curious, Mr. Han Sang-jun. It seems like this is your first time entering a dungeon. Sang-jun was quiet for a moment before confirming yes. After saying that, he thought to himself, because the Tower of Trials isn't considered a dungeon. Jong-won hesitated before speaking. What I'm about to say might be a little rude since we've just met, but clearing a dungeon is a matter of life and death, so I think I need to make this clear. He asked bluntly between an E-rank hunter and a C-rank hunter who, do you think, has a higher mortality rate? He remained silent after hearing the question. Meanwhile, Jong-won continued rambling. Most people think that lower-ranked hunters like E-ranks are more likely to die, but in reality it's the C-rank hunters. He continued to analyze it in detail because E-rank hunters know they're very weak. They are always excessively cautious while those at C-rank are too overconfident. That's why their mortality rate is often higher. He gave an example to make it easier to visualize. It's just like driving a car. The accident rate will increase if you're too confident, Jong-won said with great worry. Dungeons are much more dangerous than you think, yes, he replied with some reservation. And now we're going in here. Without a tank or a healer, I'm even more worried about your overconfidence. Before Jong-won could finish, he was cut off. Yes, you're right. After a bit of lecturing, he suggested I may only be an E-rank hunter, but I have a lot of dungeon experience, so please let me lead the team, okay? After hearing him out, Sang-hyun thought to himself that even though he wanted to lead, he should agree for the plan to succeed. All right, let's do that. Seeing this, Jong-won immediately bowed. Thank you for your consideration. Please don't be upset. This is for the safety of the 2 of us. With the agreement made, he urged, let's move out now. He followed along, thinking I'll trust him for the time being. Then they saw a lizard man, and Jong-won shouted a lizard man. He stared at it cautiously. They're known for their weapon mastery. This isn't good. Based on the situation Jong-won proposed, I'll go provoke it. When it's focused on me, I want you to aim for its opening. Sang-hyun followed his instructions, replying, got it. From behind, he thought, I want to see how an experienced hunter deals with this. At that moment, the fierce lizard man charged forward, and Jong-won also ran out aggressively to fight. But they didn't clash with force, they just yelled at each other, which greatly surprised Sang-hyun. He watched Jong-won swing his sword and shout, wondering, don't tell me. Sang-hyun thought in disbelief. Are they having a staring contest? He was not pleased with what he was seeing. I only have 3 days. This return to Earth is only temporary. I don't want to waste time on a single lizard man near the dungeon entrance. And so Sang-hyun stepped forward, much to the other's surprise. He then heard him volunteer, "Let me take it down." Seeing this, John-won hastily tried to stop him. "Wait, hold on, it's dangerous." But Sang-hyun paid no attention to his words and dashed off. Using instant acceleration, he struck easily, destroying the lizard man. The other man was stunned at the sight. Sang-hyun looked at the creature's dissolving body and said, "I interfered because I'm in a hurry, so I hope you understand." John-won was stunned for a moment before replying, I understand. "This should work," he said before adding, "And I have a proposal, may I voice it?" He immediately nodded in agreement. "Of course you can say anything you want." A second later, Sang-hyun pointed to himself. "I hope I can lead from now on." Just then, a large number of lizard men appeared. He charged forward bravely, easily annihilating them all. One chased after him for an ambush, but he just leaped off the ground to dodge. Sang-hyun then descended from above, finishing it off. He was stunned as he watched him fight. John-won looked at Sang-hyun with awe. "This is a one-sided massacre." He didn't stop there, continuing his slaughter of the lizard men. Sang-hyun swung his sword again and again. He destroyed them with ease. He was stunned watching it all unfold. I might be witnessing a super rookie in action. Next, Sang-hyun thrust his sword into a lizard man's chest and pulled out a mana core from within. At the same time, a system notification appeared, D-core, a mana core extracted from the heart of a lizard man. Very useful in alchemy or crafting. Sang-hyun then filled his backpack with the mana cores. John-won spoke up guiltily. "I'm sorry I can't help with anything other than carrying things." John-won assessed the situation and said, "Based on the amount of loot we've gathered, there's almost nothing left here." He replied, unaware of a lizard man launching a sneak attack. "About the loot!" Sang-hyun tilted his head slightly, dodging the attack from behind. He then quickly spun around and counterattacked, unleashing a move that sent the lizard man flying. He was thrown hard, crashing headfirst into the middle of the cave as countless rocks and dirt rained down. He quickly raised his hands to protect his head, dodging the debris. After finishing off the lizard man, Sang-hyun gave an order. "Let's discuss that after we get out. It could be dangerous if we lose focus." John-won looked at Sang-hyun and said, "I'm sorry, but of course I'll do my best to protect you." Afterward, the system displayed a flood of information. "You have absorbed the soul of a lizard man. Your proficiency has increased by 0.7%. You have absorbed the soul of a lizard man. Your proficiency has increased by 0.7%. Sang-hyun absorbed it while thinking to himself, "I'll absorb the souls," while pretending to yawn. Suddenly, he was startled, thinking 0.7%. "It seems it'll be very difficult to raise my proficiency with D-rank monsters now." Very quickly, Sang-hyun and he reached a large cavern. John-won saw it and thought in surprise. "We actually made it to the boss room with just the two of us. So this is the boss room entrance." He suddenly felt excited. "I never thought I'd get to challenge a boss. Just clearing half of the dungeon would have been considered a success." Then John-won looked over at him. "But with this guy, clearing the entire dungeon is actually possible now." Sang-hyun turned and asked, "Well, I want to enter the boss room. How about you?" He immediately agreed, answering, "Of course. But don't you need to rest?" He quickly replied, "No, I'm fine." Then John-won went inside with him. "All right, then let's go." Very quickly, the two of them stood before the Lizard King. He couldn't help but marvel. "So that's the Lizard King?" John-won suddenly asked curiously, "Do you have a plan?" Sang-hyun calmly replied, "You wait here." He couldn't believe it and blurted out, "What, wait, you don't have a plan or anything?" Meanwhile, the Lizard King brandished its sword and charged aggressively towards him. He smiled without any fear. Not really. As the monster charged aggressively from afar, Sang-hyun was utterly surprised by its incredible speed. So he fell back to dodge its attack. As Sang-hyun dodged, he felt that its speed was incredibly fast, completely unsuited for its size. However, he wasn't afraid at all. Because Sang-hyun attacked from behind the monster, then he raised his sword and launched a strike. It's not like I can't keep up with it. Just then, it swung its tail in a counterattack. Unable to defend in time, Sang-hyun was thrown backward. Seeing this, John-won shouted in worry, "Han Sang-hyun." At that moment, he calmly kicked away a large boulder. As Sang-hyun landed safely, a system notification appeared. The soul has absorbed the user's damage. Suddenly, he flashed a sinister smile. That's right, it has to be at least this difficult. For me to be able to properly test out my new skills. Only then did John-won let out a sigh of relief. "I thought you were going to die." Meanwhile, the monster stared intently at Sang-hyun. And he stood there calmly speaking, "But your throne is broken." Sang-hyun suddenly had a bad feeling. Why does this feel like a bad omen? Just then it channeled its power with a growl, and the monster began to radiate an incredibly terrifying killing intent. He found himself bound tightly as a system notification appeared. "Slow movement skill has been activated. All movement will be slowed by 25%. Sang-hyun quickly created a defensive shield. Consequently, the system displayed a notification: the skill Strong Break has been activated. The player possesses twice the amount of magical energy as the user of the slow movement skill. All slowing effects on movement have been nullified. Seeing this, it roared in anger. He now thought in surprise I was a little uncertain, because it was a skill created through combination, but it works quite well. While the monster was glaring at Sang-hyun with killing intent, a painful cry suddenly echoed through the cave. John won. He was attacked and couldn't help but cry out, "I can't control my body." John won trembled as he pleaded, "Han Sang-hyun, help me." The monster's gaze shifted as it spotted new prey. Sang-hyun was also startled by this realization. "Wait a minute!" The monster was now charging aggressively towards him. Sang-hyun was furious at its actions. "Hey, you lizard bastard, your opponent is me." He used his top speed to chase after the monster, but Sang-hyun still couldn't catch it. "Damn it, I'm too far away." Then he suddenly let out a cry, and Sang-hyun's eyes suddenly turned red. "Summoned from the dead!" Then zombies appeared to stop the monster. They attacked it with their weapons, but the monster immediately swung its arm and wiped out all the zombies. He wasn't too surprised to see this scene. Of course they weren't strong enough, but in that 1 second I created. Sang-hyun seized the opportunity to attack it, triggering a system notification skill. Grace of the Wind has been stacked. All movement speed increased by 60%. Current skill stack progress 6 out of 7. Only then did he let out a sigh of relief. I managed to save him. The monster collapsed. A notification appeared, "Dungeon boss, the Lizard King has been defeated. The next dungeon boss will appear in 14 days. Then countless notifications appeared. Your stats have increased significantly from absorbing the Lizard King's soul. Strength has increased by 1 point. Agility has increased by 1 point. Stamina has increased by 1 point. Strength has increased by 4 points. Stamina has increased by 5 points. He was suddenly stunned when he saw the notification, "You have absorbed the Lizard King's skill. Skill Spirit I, low proficiency. 0% effectiveness. In battle, you will be able to see an opponent's invisible attacks." Meanwhile, elsewhere, Ujin yawned. He lamented melancholically besides 3 gates opening at the same time. "Nothing special has happened at all. How boring." Then Ujin turned his head back and asked, "Hey, nothing noteworthy has happened, right?" His subordinate behind him confirmed that's right. "Nothing at all, Captain." Hearing that, he thought to himself, normally when the Vanguard Hunter team leaves after partially clearing a gate, the Association's raid team will arrive shortly after, and finish it by defeating the boss. Ujin sat there muttering, "I'm from the same association, so why doesn't my team get any assignments? Those lousy raid teams. I'm so jealous." Then he smiled gleefully. "If the raid team clears the gate in a single run, my management team gets a bonus." Suddenly, Ujin calmed down. He closed his eyes and pondered that's only possible if they have an A-rank hunter. If there's a high-level hunter like that here, it would be insane, right? Just then, Sang-hyun and Jong-gun returned to everyone's surprise. The subordinate loudly announced the Vanguard team for the 3rd gate has completed the raid. And they're out. Ujin was startled and turned to ask, "It's already over." The crowd, still in disbelief, began to chatter. What? Only 2 people cleared this dungeon. Then they must have come out after clearing half of it. The sight before him made him widen his eyes in astonishment because the spatial gate was changing color. At that moment, a terrified Ujin thought, the gate's color turning gray means... He quickly realized that the boss room had been cleared. A second later, a panicked Ujin ran towards him. He rushed up to question Sang-hyun. "Is it true that the gate has been completely cleared?" He glanced at Ujin and said coldly, "Excuse me, but who are you to ask me that?" Only then did the man adjust his clothes and introduce himself. "Please forgive my rudeness. I'm the person in charge of the gate that suddenly appeared in this park. The captain of the Hunter Association's gate management team, Shin Ujin." At the same time, Jong-gun walked over and asked curiously, "Are you here to buy the ownership rights to the gate?" Ujin immediately confirmed that information. "That's right, we'd like to make a proposal to you two." Before he could even finish, John 1 cut in, "Then that's not something I can decide." Ujin blurted out in confusion what? He was stunned to hear the explanation that Hunter Han Sang-hyun had cleared this dungeon alone. Ujin, horrified, now spoke up if he did it all by himself. "Then he must be an A-rank hunter." Sang-hyun immediately denied it. "No, I'm a C-rank hunter. That's not important right now. So why don't we get to the main point?" He got straight to the point. "How much do you want for the ownership rights to the gate?" After he spoke, Sang-hyun thought to himself, "If I reveal that I'm from the Tower of Trials, it will just be more troublesome." He regained his composure as Ujin from the gate management team stated an offer to buy it for 1.2 billion won. He couldn't believe it, thinking 1.2 billion.